Hello, everyone, and welcome into yet another debate night. I'm Hunter, joined as always virtually by Brodie. Silas is behind the producer table, making sure everything looks and sounds good. So I don't know what that was. That was Brodie's in, man. Don't blame Silas for that. Right as I said, Silas making things look and sound good. Brodie makes them look bad, man.
Sorry.
Before we get into the show too much, Silas, cut to me full screen real quick. Before we get to the show too much, I gotta show something off here. Coming up next weekend, we have the Creators Cup, which is basically there's going to be 8 channels. We just confirmed Danny Lindahl from Dynamics going to be down there. Going to be 8 channels coming into Charleston, South Carolina, including us. We're going to be battling for the best non-touring disc golf content YouTube creator out there. And the trophy just arrived, and I'm pretty proud of this thing. I'm not going to lie to you. Here it is in all its glory. This is what the winning channel will be taking home, having in the background of all their videos for a year, and then get to bring it back. It is a lot bigger than we thought when we purchased it, but that's never a bad thing. So
sick.
Pretty sick. Pretty stoked about this. This is what the channel will get to take home and then bring back to defend their title. So that's going to be going down next weekend in Charleston, South Carolina. If you live in that area, we're also going to be doing a Foundation versus Nation. Brodie will be there for that at SOAC as the course. Foundation versus Nation will be going down. Registration just went live for that over at foundationdisc.com. So you can head over there and sign up if you want to play against Team Foundation. And then obviously you get to watch the Creators Cup on Saturday, and then Foundation Charleston opens on Saturday as well. So lots of stuff going on in Charleston, and hopefully 2 weeks from now I can show this off because we won the Creators Cup. But if not, this might be going home with someone else. That would really hurt my feelings because we have some funny TikToks we want to make with it. But we'll see.
Okay, I think you, obviously Trevor's not here, but I think you need to speak for yourself for the video I just witnessed and watched.
Oh, the home run derby.
And what the heck happened?
Well, let's start here. How far do you think Trevor and I throw? You've seen us.
Well, here's the thing. I think you guys are super inconsistent.
Okay.
So I think you guys can both throw over 440.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
But you could also, when you're trying to throw 440, you could also throw 350.
I would say more like if we throw a bad shot.
380.
It definitely took 420 feet of power to get over the wall. Like the ones
I'm thinking in my head, I'm trying to just fathom, because obviously you have to throw it at 20 feet high.
It has to be hyzering out at 20 feet high. So you have to get it, basically you either have to have it 20 feet high the whole flight with enough power to get it over the wall at that mark, or you have to throw it 30 feet in the air and have it be coming down, because the shots in the end, when we measured them, when we walked past the fence, they were a solid 80 feet past the ones that went over, because it had to come down on that hyzer angle.
I'm just wondering what a buzz would look like.
I don't know. I threw an FD, which I can throw 350, 375, somewhere in that range, and I didn't even hit the wall, which was 340. So they're very counterintuitive.
What happened?
I don't know.
What happened?
That one I don't know. But I could have got a fairway to the wall. I could never have got a fairway over the wall, because you had to throw, for us, we had to throw slightly nose up if you were throwing flat. So you either had to crank on Anheuser, but on Anheuser it carried you to the right, and the farther right you went, the longer you had to cross, because the middle, if you're going to midfield, it was over 400 feet to the top of the wall. So we could never cross midfield. So if we throw on Anheuser and we were panning to the right, it got farther and farther how far out we had to cross the wall. So your best bet was a line drive down the left foul line.
I just don't think you guys have the shot that's required for that. I think and I was talking to Trevor a little bit in our group chat about this, is I think you guys, your distance throws, the type of throw that you do for your distance throw is not the type of throw needed for what that shot required.
I was throwing hyzer flips, and once I got it down, I was able to get, spoiler alert, a few over. But at first, I didn't think it was
all hyzer. You should be able to throw an all hyzer shot.
No. Because the farthest I can throw a pure hyzer is 350, 360. But that's hitting the wall. because it has to be coming in 20 feet in the air at 340. So like that height is going.
I think the wind might have been messing you guys up or something.
It didn't feel that windy.
I was expecting way. Silas, what do you think?
Silas was there. Silas was on the grounds.
I was on the ground.
No, I know. I heard him in the background. Like when I was watching this video, I was expecting the only time you guys weren't going to make it over is when you guys threw a bad shot. And there was times where you threw shots and you were like excited about it, and then it just like.
Well, because it looked so they looked so promising, they looked so high, and then they'd either just like stall or they just like we thought they went so far and they didn't go far at all.
Well, I had one turnover and hit the wall more towards the center, a solid like 10 feet up the wall.
Yeah.
But like that was like to throw like your max distance, you would have had to start it almost in the net still. For me to be able to throw something that was going to flip all the way over and cruise at that height. Which I think if I was able to throw that shot, I think I would have been able to get a lot more over. But I was having to throw like flip up, maybe a little turn, and then fade. Yeah. I couldn't get something turning because as soon as something got turning, I had to start it on the line I had to cross. So as soon as it started turning, it was having to go to like 375, 400 to get up and over that wall. And there's no way with our distance I was crossing the 400 point at like that height.
Yeah. You were getting the right idea though. Because at the end.
I read one of the comments. Are we ever going to be able to see Silas? Because I feel like I cut him off so much because I can't see that he's about to talk.
Well, first off, Silas, you can turn your camera on so Brodie can see you, right? Or is that going to mess everything up?
No, I can't.
You don't have a webcam?
You can't stream to this channel in Discord.
Oh, so it's just a permission issue.
I don't have permissions, man.
Oh,
weird.
All right, I can take care of that.
That would definitely help with me cutting Silas off because I can't see him, so it's hard for me to tell. It's hard for me to tell when he's like about to talk or like is finishing talking.
Yeah.
But one of the comments I thought hit the nail on the head a little bit, and it made me think of a really cool idea, like for a video series. Somewhat of kind of what we did on my channel already. Where like internet distance, right? Where people are like, oh, I threw this far, and they have the screenshot, the U-disc and all that.
Yeah.
And I went to the field. When you guys come down here, I'll take you to this field. It is the best place to throw if you want to try to get like that U-disc, like look how far I throw.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't look that downhill from where you're throwing. So if you film it from behind, it doesn't look like, oh, wow, they're like on top of a hill throwing down. It's so gradual. And there's also like a bunch of like bumps and stuff along the way.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there's Silas. What's up? So
there I am.
From behind where you're throwing, it doesn't look like it's downhill. But then when you get to the disc and turn back, you're like, holy cow. So it's perfect for that. And like, I mean, I was throwing forehands further than I should throwing backhands.
Yeah.
So,
well, let me just read you some of my throws from U-disc, okay? To just show internet distance.
Is that from that video?
No, this is from previously, but I was throwing about the same as I throw now. Like I've never been able to cross like 475 in a flat field was like as far as I've ever been able to throw in a flat field.
Okay.
But I have three shots in particular. Which let me see where this one even was. This one actually was on a par 5 in a tournament, led to an eagle. Probably my favorite shot I've ever thrown. 611 feet. So like internet distance, I was just in a wide open field at 611 feet. Was there a 30-mile-an-hour tailwind and it was downhill? Absolutely. I threw a strike on a hyzer flip and that thing just got carried. 611 feet. Inbounds though, important note. And then I have a destroyer 575 feet downhill. And then another destroyer, 527 feet, also downhill. But it's in that field at East Campus. You've played there, I think, once maybe.
Oh.
It's a hole 20. It's like super slightly downhill. So like when you're looking at it, if you're on camera or something, you can't tell. But if you get over the last hill that goes down to the road, then it's like an immediate 60 or 70 feet of distance because the disc just kind of disappears off this cliff, basically. And so that's what happened for the 575. But yeah, I mean, nice. So if we want to, like, if I ever wanted to internet distance someone, I'll just boom, 611 feet.
Yeah. So this is my video idea. And I kind of jumped this on the Easy 3 guys that I play with in Dallas one day, where I was like, hey, does everyone want to be in a video? They're all like, yeah. And then I asked them, like, I took them aside and asked them like a list of like 10 different questions.
Yeah.
But I only really cared about one question. But I asked all the other ones, so that way they, give me a real answer, not know what we were doing. And essentially I was trying to figure out how far they thought they threw.
Yeah.
Right? Or like how far they would tell the camera, on a YouTube video how far they threw. And then we ended up having them throw like 10 shots right after and then like actually saw how far they threw. I was thinking we do something like that where, foundation spreads across. Like there's people all over the place that have like little pockets here and there. And so I know people listening to this have friends that they know say they throw way further than they actually do. So it's like we have people almost submit their friends with like tweets or Facebook posts or Reddit posts of them like having pictures or whatever. Or like even when someone's like, because I loved it today, some guy was talking about the Glow Get Freakies and they were trying to figure out like how stable they were and whatever.
Yeah.
And he said something along the lines of like, well, I can throw 400 feet. And the guy thought he was saying he could throw Get Freaky 400 feet. And he quickly was like, no. I'm saying I have 400 feet of power. And when I throw a Get Freaky, it doesn't like turn over. That's what he was saying. And so there's lots of conversations like that where people are like, well, I can throw like 500 feet. So for me, this disc is super flippy, to where it's not even them like posting like a shot. It's just them like giving advice or something and saying like how far. So I want to like almost surprise them, have their like friends submit them, kind of like the what's that one
where you kick, like they say I could have made that field goal and they show up to the sports science and they kick it.
I was thinking more of Catfish was the show I was thinking of, where they just all of a sudden just show up at that person's house and they're like, hey, you're not who you say you are. But yeah, same thing with that where they find the tweets of people saying they can kick a field goal and then they're like, all right, here you are, kick it.
I love those. I love those when they did that. Those are so funny. Oh, my word.
So it's like if we could do it, it would be even better if we like got it timed up to where we got them at the course. Like they're on the course already
and we
playing,
just roll up, white van, jump out the back.
And everything and say, hey, did you tweet this? Is this you? And they're like, yeah. And they're like, we'll give you 5 throws. Let's see it. And then like, and then just see what would happen.
That'd be fun.
But yeah, that gave me the idea of doing that at some point. That'd be a fun thing to do.
That'd be very fun. I am so excited so tomorrow's video, what we're shooting tomorrow, we finally get to see David Wiggins throw distance.
Man.
He was in town today. Super nice. One of the nicest disc golfers I've ever met.
Yeah, really nice guy.
Super cool hearing stories of him.
He's got like a legit job too.
Yeah.
Like I think he's from what I heard, he's like an architect of boats or
engineer,
something.
I believe.
An engineer of
yeah.
boats? Okay.
But he won his first pro event at the age of 13, which is wild. Was, I think it was a smaller pro event, but still. And then, went on. He was basically a younger Gannon Burr back then, if that makes sense. Like he was the like really young gun, but he was doing a lot of it at like 14. So it was wild. So I was asking him a bunch of questions about that. But then I was asking him about his distance because I just wanted to hear like the guy who has his name on the Blizzard Balls has thrown a disc 1,108 feet in the desert. What does he say about his distance? And so I was like, how far, like golf line, you step up to a hole, you see how far it is, you feel like
guess.
Yeah, you can guess.
What he was saying.
Like you feel like you can get this hole. How far is it? How far do you think he said?
I'm gonna say like 550.
He said like 570. He said 570. I feel like I have a chance to at least get it there. He wasn't saying like every time I'm inside the circle. But he was saying like that's a good like golf distance. And then I asked his max distance, like just ripping one out there. How far is it going? And he was
70.
Well, he said it just depends a lot on the wind. He said if it's calm out there and it's a perfectly flat field tomorrow, then he thinks he'll be happy with like 620. But he said, if there's a helping wind, it could definitely get farther than that. And he didn't bring his discs, so we have like a bunch of star bosses. He said they feel like a good run, but you never know till he throws them. So it'll depend on that too. But a shot going over 600 feet, like in a field when Trevor and I are throwing next to him, very excited to see.
we were talking about this. I do want to give credit to Terry. I know Trevor already made a tweet kind of talking about his post interview with Haley.
Yeah.
But I want to say that was actually one of the more insightful things I would say I've heard on commentary, of where Terry was like giving backstory. And this is something that I think we could use more of when talking about players, is like getting more of a backstory of some of these people, because you really got to hear just kind of the crazy journey Haley's gone on the last several years. And it was cool to hear how she went up through the ranks and the different tournaments Terry had seen her at, and all that. I don't know what made me think, but then to like now say something negative, but it's not really negative. I think the commentary is also supposed to, it's like part of their job, right? To try to hype up what you're watching.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If something is not necessarily as entertaining, if there wasn't commentary, the commentary coming in hopefully makes it a little bit more entertaining. So, with that being said, a number that or something that is said numerous times on coverage that is just blatantly false is like when they start talking about like distances and stuff, and how far people can throw on Heiser, and how they barely are even throwing, and it's going 550 feet and all this stuff. Like,
well, I think
a lot of times that stuff is super exaggerated. And case in point, how many times have you heard people be like, "Oh, that shot's like 580 feet out there," and then you have the guy that throws the furthest out of anyone saying when he does a 360 and is throwing as absolutely hard as possible, 620 would be a good number. Like, clearly.
Well,
these
we're gonna have our rangefinder out there. Obviously, I'm very curious. Like, he didn't seem like the kind of guy that's gonna come in and just like puff his chest and be like, "Oh, dude, 700 all day." Like, you know what I mean?
No.
So I'm very curious. Like, was he being really humble, and we're just gonna see like 620, 650, like back, like he's gonna be like hitting that, or is that like what you're saying, where we hear all these numbers because like the hole might be this far, but if you cut this corner, it takes like 150 feet off or something, and so people are throwing like 500-foot Heisers.
But see, that's the thing, is they're not. I don't even think they're the announcers are doing any of that. They're not even. They would see it. Like, sometimes you see it, like when you play a course, you really know the course well.
Yeah.
And so you know like how far certain shots are from the basket. And so, and you've seen this all the time where they'll say something and they'll cut to another shot and then they'll come back to it. And the person's still like, they claim that it was they're going to be jump putting and 60, 70 feet away. And then they're throwing, a 200-foot upshot. But when it comes to David Wiggins, if anything, I think he's being safe. I think he's giving realistic numbers, because he threw, I'm trying to think. I think he threw something like I want to say it was like 670 or 690 in that range. And that was a 360. And that was like a distance line.
Yeah.
And then I want to say he threw right around 600 feet, and that was like a low bullet. Like, that looked like a normal disc golf shot, right around 600 feet. So like,
I am so excited for tomorrow.
Yeah. So if he's out there, you need to do a video too to see how many Connor and Silas throws it takes to throw one David Wiggins throw.
Oh, boy.
That'd be funny. We definitely we bounced around a few ideas
with the disc he's throwing, with like the super overstable disc he's throwing.
Yeah, that'd be funny.
Wow.
That might be a good idea. We were trying to figure out the best format, because we bounced around a few with him, and we were saying how we were thinking about combined distance, and he's like, "Well, how far can y'all throw?" I was like, "Well, Trevor and I can hit 400, but like we don't always hit 400." And he's like, there's no chance I beat you." He's like, "Because like if one of you throws 375 and one of you throws 350, I'm not throwing that far."
No, you guys are gonna beat him.
Well, I think
one throw versus two throws.
Yeah, I think the format I've come up with in my head is, I think we just slowly handicap him to see at what point he's throwing our distance.
They did a video like that in golf that I loved. It was with the no laying up guys, and they had one of their dudes hitting against like this guy that's on the Corn Ferry Tour and is notoriously hitting really far. And it was basically the same thing of where he started with a driver, and the other guys obviously just hitting driver every time. And so they go head to head, driver, driver. This guy hits far. Now head to head, driver, 3-wood. This guy hits for driver, 5-wood. If you guys did something like that, that's a good video.
I think that's what we're gonna do. I think we're gonna start.
How far down?
Yeah,
can
I think
you go?
I think we're gonna start like 360 max distance, and then Trevor and I are always just throwing as hard as we can. So we can't really 360 obviously, but I think that would hurt us if we tried. Not physically hurt us, hurt our distance. So then like the next step is like
I feel like you can. I feel like your 360. I've never been Trevor 360. But I feel like if you throw like 10 360s, I feel like you're going to get one that goes further than any of your normal.
I could probably get 1 out of 10. Yeah, my 360 form's fine. I just don't have good control. So like sometimes I try to throw an Anheuser and it's coming out on Heiser and that thing's gone.
You generate more power.
Absolutely.
It's just more inconsistent.
Exactly. Yeah. But then I think we go like from there, then he just does a normal run up, obviously beats us there. And then we bring it down to a fairway. And then we like, the tough part is like, I think we go to a 9-speed, then we go to a 7-speed, then we go to a mid. And I feel like him ripping a mid will probably be pretty close. Just in a wide open field, he can throw it as hard as he wants. I feel like he could probably.
He's gonna throw a mid further than you guys.
You think he's gonna beat us with a mid?
I mean, I can throw a buzz like 440 feet.
I just don't know how much he throws mids. I don't know his game that well.
He can throw a rock over 450 feet.
I can't wait for tomorrow. Because like if I lose to someone throwing a rock, that's gonna be a big shot to my ego.
I want to know his warm up. Like, does this guy just like go out and just start ripping?
Is he walking out of the car straight on the field 360?
Because that'd be sick.
Oh yeah, I don't think so. I think he's a smart dude. Yeah. So I think he does a good job of taking care of his body and making sure when you're doing those kind of motions and stuff.
No, that's an athletic, aggressive motion. That's not just a show up, ice cold, start chucking. But yeah.
I mean, it honestly reminds me of a lot of like ultimate frisbee polls. Of how like a lot of ultimate frisbee, the best pollers, the people that basically kick off the game or the point, they do a 360, and it's very similar in the sense of just how aggressive they are ripping through it. It's fun to watch for sure.
360 and ultimate, are they generating like the same amount of power as like a 360 and disc golf?
Probably.
I've just never seen it. Like I didn't know because like I know ultimate form isn't
a much slower. Yeah, you're throwing a much slower disc.
Well, I just know like ultimate form isn't built for power. It's built for like release speed and accuracy.
I think if you look at some players' power. Let's say some of the smaller stature pros.
Yeah.
A lot of them generate power by rounding. Right?
Yeah.
If you look at them, they have the disc behind their body versus like keeping it out in front.
Yeah.
And you're going to generate more power that way by like ripping it through, but obviously the accuracy is going to kind of diminish a little bit. I feel like that's very similar to like ultimate.
Yeah.
Is ultimate, you never kept the disc out here and like you always would like bring it back behind your body and then round, basically just like rip across.
Which is so crazy to me because you would think that would make like you would think it'd be way easier to just rip it over and like roll ultimate frisbees that way.
You're releasing on crazy Heiser.
So I guess you're like rounding, leaning over it, so it didn't really matter.
If I was throwing like a full field huck, 70 yards, which is like 240 feet, which is crazy to think about because 240 feet, like I can just stand still and flick a little zone.
Yeah.
And have it go 240 feet. It's crazy how much further golf disc goes than Ultra Stars. But yeah, if I was going to throw that, I'm releasing it on probably like a 45-degree angle.
Yeah.
Of Heiser.
Yeah.
Which is probably like the only person that's like doing stuff like that is like Kevin Jones. So like the way he releases this, like how drastically on Heiser he releases it. Yeah.
I feel like I could throw an ultimate disc 70
Why am I
yards.
blurry, Silas? What is going on? Is that my camera? Is it focusing
I think
on
it's somewhat of your
me?
internet.
Yeah.
Or
Now
it's
good.
more of an. I feel like on my end though, it should be clear. Like you're more clear than me.
I don't know, man.
Like Silas is more clear than me.
So Silas and I are both on just Mac webcams.
Mac Superior.
Well, he's on a Mac.
Look at
He just
this.
has a.
Well, his is like from 20.
Is it crazy for me to think I could throw ultimate frisbee 70 yards, or is that like
Yes.
you could?
Yes.
So it's crazy.
Yes.
So that's like a no chance.
No, you should try that.
I think I got to.
I want to see that.
I feel like I could. I release everything on hyzer. So like throwing on more hyzer isn't going to be a trouble for me.
But it's a different.
It's just the power.
technique.
Well, it's just the power. I think. Like, is it a power issue or what's the issue?
Wait.
I feel like you have to get more spin on a ultimate.
You have to get a lot more spin, and I think the thing that you're going to struggle with, Hunter, is the pull through. You can't pull through an Ultra Star like you can a disc golf because of the size. It'll hit your body.
I mean, I've thrown an Ultra Star relatively far before. I've just never measured it. Like I've thrown one as hard as I can before.
It'll be interesting to see. I mean, forehand.
I can't.
To
do
me,
forehand.
that's the thing that's really interesting because like forehand, I can throw like some of my farthest forehand throws were like 100 yards
with an Ultra Star.
Yeah,
that's wild. See, I can't. I have mine come out like wobble and turn immediately. I have no touch.
Mine just like turn over.
Yeah, which is crazy because like the touch forehand, I think is one of my better shots in disc golf.
You have to throw it nose up. That's the thing.
Oh,
that makes sense.
You guys are throwing it nose down. Hence why learning how to throw a forehand is really difficult coming from ultimate.
That makes sense. Well, we'll definitely have to try that for like Instagram. I think see if I can do it. I'm just curious. But let's talk through Idlewild real quick before we get to the other topic of the night. This has always been one of my favorite tournaments. I think it's just because it was one of the like first pro tours I got to go to. But the course, I personally am a big fan of the course. But I've heard they made some changes this year. Can you walk us through what some of those are looking like?
Yeah, I mean, our practice video just went up today, and like so far, the comments on it, like people are just really excited to see this. Like, obviously, the local community here in Cincinnati is incredible.
Yeah,
tons of people already out in the course getting things ready, and the fans here are really, really excited for the event. But I think also from a spectator standpoint, from a fan standpoint, like outside of Cincinnati, this is a tournament that a lot of people circle as one that they can't wait to watch. And I think the reason for that is just a lot of these holes you can bogey them.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't play that many tournaments. It's getting more and more, obviously, but this is a course where, you know, someone could potentially shoot over par on a stretch of 9 holes. And, you know, you can see some fluid scoring separation. And, you know, last year you had 6 people with the leaders going into 18, 6 people tied for the lead.
Yeah.
So I think this course leads to really exciting finishes, and the changes they've made this year, I didn't get to play it last year, and I think they made a couple of these last year, but I'll just say that all the changes I've seen since I've last played it, which was 2 years ago. Hole 1, they've added OB on the right-hand side.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now when you saw those people kind of hyzer flip and turn it over because they're trying to go for a 2, and they just go way right, and they can just kind of chip up for your birdie, you can't do that anymore. And
how tight is it on the right side? Is it like where the bushes were?
It's still pretty far right.
So it's like on the other side of the valley almost?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, because that's kind of where. So it's really for bad shots.
Yeah, but it does make you at least question when you're going really aggressive.
Yeah, well now, you're thinking about it at least. Hole 2 is exactly the same. Hole 3 is a brand new hole, so instead of that shot down the par 3 that's like super downhill, that's like right across that little creek. A lot of people didn't really like that hole that much because of how kind of fluky it was, whether you got in the creek and you made your par, you didn't get in the creek and made your birdie. That is now like a U-shaped hole. So now you kind of go off to the right, and then you immediately do like a U-turn back up the hill. And I think it's a roller. It's probably you're going to see probably a lot of rollers, some forehands, maybe some turnover backhands. But it's a cool hole. The green on that hole is kind of cool. They got some like big sawgrass plants short of the basket, and they've got a couple big trees short of the basket, and it's on a pretty decent hill. So that's a good birdie for sure.
Is it in the same like little field location that the old hole 3 was, or is this a completely new flow of the course?
So the tee box is exactly the same, but now instead of like going straight down, you basically are playing a hole that goes like that.
So it kind of goes to the next tee almost.
Yes, yeah. So now you make this horseshoe and you kind of go to the right, and then you walk across to a part of the course that we never played. And I think they've combined 2 holes again. This might be everyone's favorite hole.
Oh, sick.
This could be a lot of people's favorite hole. It's a par 4 where it requires like a 450-foot shot off the tee ideally, but it's a very specific landing zone because there's water short, but like no one's gonna throw it in the water. Knock on wood. But you basically have to throw it into this gap of trees, and there's tons and tons of trees and tons of little gaps that you can throw across, but there is the biggest gap. And so you're trying to figure out, okay, how do I get my disc to land 450 away in that biggest gap to give you the best chance across? Because now across those trees, there is like 150-foot carry of water. So if you're trying to like throw it through a tight gap and you nick a tree, you're probably going to go into the water. I also love this hole. And I this is where I think disc golf probably needs to figure out course design wise moving forward, how to make more holes like this, whether we have water that we can use or we don't. Because if you throw a bad tee shot, if you get out of place, like not in a good place off your tee, you no longer can just like chuck something up and try to get as far up to the basket as possible.
Far forward as possible.
You now are having to probably lay up to where good drives go. And that's only possible because of having that water carry at the end. And so like I'm trying to think of like a hole that, the USDGC course probably the best.
Mm-hmm.
So like a hole like 18, for example.
Yeah.
Okay. Obviously it's still a pretty good hole because it's got tons of OB. But imagine where right where the hole starts breaking off to the left, where the basket is, where the green is. Imagine there's like a 50-foot spot right there that's all OB. So now if you throw a bad tee shot, you now are thinking like, I got to cover this, like I have to throw it across this thing. And if I don't, then I'm really screwed, versus just worrying about keeping it kind of in between the lines. I think you start seeing a lot more people think about risk reward versus a lot of times when someone throws a bad tee shot, all that really means is now they have to throw they have to throw further their second shot. There's not really this thought process of like, oh man, I could like, if I go aggressive here, I could really screw myself. So I think hole 4 has that. I love it. Great hole, very tough. Going to cause problems for some people that are out of position and try to play aggressive. But I love it. 5's the same. 6 is the same. 6 they got rid of. The old 6, I think it was. The roller hole, like out the tunnel. They got rid of that.
Oh, okay.
Most of the course is the same, except for the only thing I can think of is like 17. They now have a short pad. So they got rid of that like.
It's like a par 3
hole
now.
Yeah.
I think that change happened last year.
I think that was last year. I want to say it was last year. Some people were saying that was last year. But the big changes are the 2 new holes. I think they're great. And again, it's a staff, like the staff here at Idlewild. It's a staff that you can tell is interested in continuing to change and manipulate and adapt to, where the pros are.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. I think it's incredible.
Yeah. Idlewild's always been one of those tournaments that's like, it's up at a different standard than a lot of other events, in my opinion, at least, or in my eyes, because the staff that puts it on, which it still is interesting to me. And I don't know when the Pro Tour / the PDGA will get here. I think the Pro Tour's gotten there a lot more than the PDGA, to where the local staff running the event, in my opinion, shouldn't have that much of an effect on the quality of the event. Because like if you look at majors like USWDGC just went down, and a lot of the flaws, if you will, of the event, people were being like, well, the local TD, like, what was he supposed to do? Those are the baskets, the course, and stuff like that. And it's like, well, that's where the PDGA should have a standard, and like that's where, you know, when you have a team like the Natty Club, you know, in Cincinnati, they know how to put on an event. Dynamic Discs as a DDO, they know how to put on an event. You know, there's several events.
Let me stop you there, though.
Yeah.
Let me stop you there, though.
Yeah.
Because just going off of the PGA Tour, because it's literally the same exact thing as what we're doing, of where the PGA Tour, they only own one course, I believe, that's on tour, which is the Players Championship TPC Sawgrass. They own that.
Yeah.
Every other course they go to, they don't own that course. They don't have a crew of people coming in getting the course ready in the sense of like cutting the grass. All that is the superintendent. I think the biggest difference is in disc golf right now, the TDs, the people that are like cutting the grass or like trimming stuff, whatever, they're all volunteer. That's, I think, the biggest difference is where the PGA Tour, like, yes, they do have standards and all this stuff. And like the superintendent works with the PGA Tour on what they want the greens to be running like, how long they all work together, but they have staff that are getting tons of money or they have staff that are making money. And I think that's right now the problem is like a lot of these people that are helping out on the courses and stuff, they have other jobs. Like this is a hobby to them or this is something that they love to do. And it's tough to, like, going back to Worlds last year, it's tough to dump and pour all that stuff sometimes on the volunteers. Yeah. And be like, well, you guys didn't get it done.
No, absolutely.
So that's
where I think
down the road it needs to get to that point, but it's tough when everyone's just volunteers.
Well, I think that it wouldn't necessarily be like, in my head, a rep from we'll use the Pro Tour, a rep from the Pro Tour, and I think this is happening because when we were at Texas State's a week early, we saw Pro Tour trailers and stuff out there already, even though the Silver Series was going on in Belton, I believe. So I believe the Pro Tour is already doing this. But in my head, for the Pro Tour, like a week before at least, someone's out on the course, walking it, making sure things are up to their standard. That's a no-brainer to me. On the PDGA, in my head, it's like, you know, starting like a month and a half out, someone's going out there like once a week or something's going to like check on it. And then like 2 weeks before the major happens, we're getting out there and you're not necessarily cutting the grass, but you're making sure you might be picking up sticks. You're looking at where, like, making sure everything's up to a certain standard.
Yeah, majors are different because they're owned by, they're run by individual people outside the PGA Tour. The PGA Tour has nothing to do with any of the majors.
Yeah, but in disc golf, the PDGA, that is, at this point, that is the PDGA's tour is the majors. At this point.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, you're talking about the PDGA.
Yeah.
So
the Pro
PDGA
Tour
should be,
I think the Pro Tour is basically doing what they should be doing. And it seems like this year, it seems like there's been, I'm trying to think if there's been a single complaint of like a tournament being ran or standard. Maybe there was like the T-pad slip at Jonesboro. Other than that, I mean, there's been some like Pro Tour questionable decisions of like the trash cans around the basket, but they're experimenting. You know, we've seen a bunch of different ones being tested. So I feel like the Pro Tour's got a good grasp on it. But yeah, I don't know. It's just something I was thinking of. I think that's what gives Idlewild a certain amount of prestige. Is the team that runs Idlewild has been running it for a long time at a very high level. And so even though other events have caught up to them in a certain extent of the prestige and stuff they're able to bring, it's not just the course. You just know it's such a good quality event before you show up on the grounds because of the standard that they've been at for so long. And I think a part of it...
It's a well-run tournament for sure.
And I think a part of it, like you were saying...
I still think it's weird that we don't have the course shut down 3 days before the event, but...
Yeah. I think part of it, like you were saying... also comes back, though, to how much the local Parks and Rec department, with our current state in disc golf, how much the local Park and Rec department and Department of Tourism sees value in disc golf. Because that's something that in Bedford, we've seen Bedford Department of Tourism, Bedford Parks and Rec, they see immense value in disc golf. And so they keep all of the courses in this area in like perfect shape. Like they're constantly out there mowing, they're constantly fixing tee pads. They're like, if a tree's down on a Bedford course, I would be shocked if it's down for more than 24 hours. And they have like 8 courses. But they're paid, obviously, from being a part of Parks and Rec. And they view disc golf as a big part of what they offer the community. And so that's a big part of what they put their time and energy into. But all of that started because they started to see the value that disc golf brought to the area. And the Department of Tourism started to notice the tournaments could bring in people from 15, 16 states. I mean, last year we had like 400 people to one event. And they start to see the value. And then there's all these new resources for, if we go back a few years, when we first ran the Battle for Bedford, there were still the brick tees at Falling Creek Park, which is like the open park we always play. It was still brick tees. And we raised money then, and we raised money with the first Foundation versus Nation we ever did, which was the second, I believe it was the second Battle for Bedford we did. We raised money to put in pavers out there. So we were able to like help fund like 9 holes of paver tees, and then they were able to find room in the budget for the next 9 holes of paver tees. Within months of that happening, they had got the budget approved to pour concrete tees, fully redesign, get a full new set of 18 baskets, put turf tees in at Independence, put turf tees and cut in the full course at New London, put in a course in Montvale, and like their budget increased drastically because before it was just like we just don't have a disc golf budget to do stuff like that. But once the Parks and Rec saw value, then it was like all this new budget got shifted from I don't know where it previously was, but it got shifted to the focus being on disc golf to where tee pads, baskets, all of this stuff, the additional mowing, the benches they built, all of this stuff just got taken care of because they saw how much value it brought to the area, which I guess is kind of counterintuitive currently to what you were saying of Pro Tours going to bigger cities. If disc golf's still in a park stage, it might be beneficial to be, from a course perspective, in smaller cities because it brings so much more value to a city like Bedford, where there's not a lot of big things going on. So when a tournament can bring 400 people, that's one of the bigger events.
This is where it's so tough, though, right? Because it's like for disc golf to get bigger and bigger, you need to show that more people are paying attention, more people are at the events.
Yeah,
and it's gonna be easier to do that in a spot that has a higher population.
Yeah,
but at the same time, you're talking about like. Yeah, I'm sure Atlanta Tourism could care less if there was a disc golf tournament going on at one of their local
Well, yeah,
parks.
because it's tough. Like Atlanta Tourism, let's say disc golf did bring in 4,000 spectators, right, in Atlanta, and they're all from Atlanta or from the greater Atlanta area, and the tournament has 4,000 or 5,000 people on the ground. That in 1 week in Atlanta might be the second, third biggest event going on in Atlanta. Could be even lower than that, depending on what concerts and stuff are going on. Versus if you have 500 people in a town like Bedford, that's the biggest event, one of the biggest events of the year going on. So I think that the key to the bigger, because I think that there's a balance between growing what us as fans at home get to watch and growing the marketing side there, and a lot of that is the course value. What like playing courses like Idlewild, playing courses like the Preserve, even playing courses that are very well manicured and well put together, makes it more entertaining for us to watch back home. I think there's a balance between that and getting enough people on the ground. So I feel like bigger cities either need to be like Charlotte, where the Parks and Rec obviously does value disc golf and puts time and energy into it, or it needs to be in a bigger city where there's a private course that's, the money coming into the course is what's maintaining it. I don't know. It's an interesting line.
And I go back to like the James Conrad shot. Like I don't think that shot does nearly as well in the general population, the mainstream media, if you will, had that been like number 18 on, I don't know, pick a course. Like the fact that they had bleachers, the fact that there wasn't a baseball field in the background or a basketball court or a playground or, a street. Like the fact that it looked like an enclosed venue.
Yeah.
I think that played a lot.
Well, also just the amount of people.
Yeah, the amount, obviously the people for sure. But I'm still saying, like, if I see some optics matter a little bit here, and I think the more we can get on these courses that feel like they are disc golf courses and not a disc golf course in a park. Because like Idlewild's technically in a park, and besides really hole 3 and hole 4, like that little stretch right there, you don't really feel like you are in a park.
No,
so like that does like a great job, like camera wise too, of where you're not going to be seeing stuff where you're like, oh, that's really weird. Why are they playing disc golf there? But yeah.
Absolutely.
Right. What else? What else we got?
We also have a new, the Disc Golf Pro Tour's newest initiative, I guess we can call it. They announced it on social media today, and I mean, it got, we can call it mixed reviews. It got pretty negative reviews, but I think a lot of people are kind of misunderstanding what it is. So the title of the article, or the post that the Pro Tour put out, said, "We're excited to announce a new partnership with the Kingdome, a groundbreaking digital arena that will bring the tour's last round of the LWS Open at Idlewild to the Metaverse on July 10th." And then put "read more here." And then if you immediately, like on Twitter, they tagged him in it, and it's the Kingdome does a lot with like NFTs and stuff like that. So a lot of people were thinking this is like an NFT type thing. What it seems like is, I've read the article and I watched, I think this was the biggest thing to like actually see what it is I watched this like on Eventbrite. They actually have like a hype video out. The Kingdome put it out, and basically what it seems like it's going to be is it's a $2 ticket if you're not a member to the Disc Golf Network, or if you're a part of the Disc Golf Network, you get it for free. You just sign in on your VR headset, and you basically can walk around in this lounge type area that has screens and just watch disc golf is what it looks like. So basically, like if Silas and I and you are all in the metaverse, we're just in this lounge area and we can all talk to each other and like look at each other and look around and then just watch disc golf on screens. Is basically the gist I get of it. From what I read, there's not like NFTs involved. 100% of all ticketing proceeds are going to You Play Disc Golf, so it's all going to a charity. It's an interesting move, and it's one that I will not say it's a bad move. I think it's a sidestep as long as it didn't cost the Pro Tour money. If this is something that was just like a collaboration opportunity, and like it's cool. It is what it is.
It doesn't sound like it's anything.
No, essentially, no. But
what it sounds like to me is almost kind of like where like the, if your university is playing like in a national championship game.
Yeah, exactly.
Or like the Boston Celtics, right?
Yeah.
Like when the Boston Celtics were playing the Warriors, and it wasn't at, oh gosh, I'm blanking on the name. What's the Celtics arena name? You guys aren't.
I should know, but I don't.
No,
TD Garden.
TD Garden.
Know. It's a TD Garden.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
okay.
Get wrecked. How dare you?
Okay. All right. I take it back. Impressive. Yeah, like I don't know if they charge for that, but they definitely open it up to. You think they do charge?
Because you can't, especially somewhere like the Celtics. Like you might have way more people than you can sit if it's just a free thing.
But like season ticket holders.
Oh, I'm sure they get in. I'm sure they get in free.
For free.
Absolutely.
Okay,
okay. I'm sure.
All right, but like that's kind of like the thought process, right? Except this is just like a virtual thing. So it doesn't seem like the Disc Golf Pro Tour had to pay for anything. It's just essentially like a link that they're just saying like, hey, if you want to come hang out with other people, like just like it seems like all this stuff was already. They're not creating this.
No,
is what I'm saying.
No,
all this stuff is already created. It seems like they just have like almost named. It's like a Facebook group. They basically just made a Facebook group, and they're like, if you want to virtually watch with other people, just join this Facebook group. So like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No.
Am I gonna ever join? no.
I think
I have no interest.
I think it just didn't come across well because they weren't super. It wasn't super clear.
NFT was in the name, or like
no, it was in the
NFT
tag.
was in something, and I think that's where things got.
Also, when I clicked the Twitter thing, you explained it so much better. I had no idea what was going on, and I tried to look into it a little bit before the show just so I had a little knowledge. I had no idea, so I'm glad you told me because I had no clue. But yeah, they just basically made their own server for people to hang out in.
Yeah, so the Kingdome, this is what they do. It seems like that's what they're trying to do is
I don't know where there's money in this.
I think they're trying to bring it to a bunch of different sports to where you can actually sit in a stadium and watch soccer or whatever.
Again, I have no problem, but it's who's doing that? Who's doing that?
Yeah. If you were able to, I paid for this with NCAA March Madness, and it was cool for 5-10 minutes. But what they did is they had a 360 camera. They had 3 different options, and you'd put on your VR headset, and it was like you were sitting courtside. So you were in the stadium. You could hear the stadium noise from the mic. You could hear the commentators if you wanted to turn it on or off, and then you would look back and forth.
You were literally watching the game.
Yeah, yeah. So you were sitting there.
So for you to see what was going on to the right, I
had to turn my head. Yeah. The other option.
Now okay. This is what I'm going to say about that. This was a huge thing on YouTube back in the day. YouTube 360.
Yeah.
People don't even know. You remember it?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And so it first came out. I did a huge brand deal with some company that wanted to do a 360 video. And, we were basically doing you have the 360 camera in the middle and you have we had 5 different stations around it. And we were all doing stuff. And so for you to watch the video, you literally... you had to do you had to do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now let me tell you, it did not do well.
No.
People were like you said, it's something that I think is an initial oh, this is kind of cool.
I think
when you go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, I think what you're talking about and what I experienced was the beginning of this technology. Where it was really rough because it was on Facebook. They still every once in a while post 360 photos where you turn to see. Facebook luckily did the you can scroll on it if you want to spin it around update.
Yeah. That was smart.
That was huge.
But that's I think on your phone and spinning that's stupid. That's so stupid. Once you get into a VR headset, it becomes a little bit better. You're still having to spin, but if the technology could eventually get where you're buying and you can have the perspective of whatever seat at the stadium, then I think that's when it gets a little bit different. I could definitely see some games I would enjoy, Duke versus UNC, and it's just I'm sitting in the Cameron Crazies and I'm hearing them chanting, and I'm it's a next level of immersion into the game that you can't beat.
Do you not get a headache or anything when you have that on for so long?
No. I've played VR games for a few hours at a time. It's gotten good enough that it doesn't. It's very reactive. So you get more dizzy and stuff when you take it off after because you've been immersed in this world for hours.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. You're watching for 20 minutes and now you have to go to the bathroom. So you take it off and now you're just oh.
Well, so VR you can also go to a menu and when you walk out it just turns on the cameras, so you don't have to take the headset off. So it's you're still in VR, but you can walk through. But I'm saying,
imagine if that's life.
This.
I'm not saying we're getting close to Wall-E, where all the fat people
absolutely
are in their chairs and their big screens and they're just driving around.
So I think that this weekend at Idlewild, am I going to get in there for free because I have an Oculus? Absolutely, because I want to be able to talk about it on Grip Locked on Monday. So I'm definitely putting my headset on and looking around and talking some with whoever's in there. But will I watch more than 2 holes? Probably not. I don't.
What is the?
It's not going to be. There's no real reason to it in my head.
What was it? Club Penguin? Was that the game?
Yeah.
Where you just walked around in lobbies and you're just yo, what's up, man?
Yeah, that's the metaverse. That's the metaverse. So yeah, that's what it seems like. It's basically just if you want, you can go to the Disc Golf Pro Tour and then you can click the like buy your tickets here button, and it'll take you.
Wait, Silas, can we get this guy on?
What guy?
There's a guy in chat from the Kingdom.
Oh, hopefully
Can we somehow.
Did I explain it right?
No, he wants to explain it further.
Alex,
Can we get him? Can we get him into Discord?
Yeah.
Silas, can you work with him to get him into Discord just as a voice or something?
Let me see. He might have.
Alexander, hop in our Discord channel.
The link should be in the description. Once you're in, then jump into Debate Night Green Room, and I can drag you into Debate Night Live, and we should all be able to hear you.
So I guess there's stuff we're leaving out.
I mean, I'm all for it. I would love to.
Have you guys seen that movie
more.
Ready Player One?
Yeah,
I've heard of it. I haven't watched it.
Yeah, you gotta watch it. It's one
of my favorite movies. It's so good.
It's a good movie, but it's like VR stuff. It's cool.
All right, he's gonna try to get in here. So if he pops into the green room, I'll drag him in, and I'm curious to hear like what I'm missing out. Because like I said, I'm very open to this idea because I could see myself with the right.
There's no loss though. That's
unless they're paying for it.
No, yeah, as long as the Pro Tour's not paying.
What?
Like as long as
the service, the VR service.
Well, it seems like the ticketing's all going straight
service, though.
Yeah.
Well, no, they set up the room for you to walk around in and watch it. Like they set up the stadium, Kingdome. They built out the area you're all in.
I mean, why can't it just be a standard?
We're gonna assume this is him. We're gonna drag him in. If this might be someone random, just be prepared. Can you hear us? Flash?
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How's it going?
What's going on? Thanks for having me on. I figured I'd pop in just to say what's up.
No, this is great. So can you provide us a little more information? What am I missing out on here?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I just want to first of all say thank you guys for having us on. We've been working directly with DGPT in the foundation just for a few months actually behind the scenes here, and I think you explained it pretty well. And I think one thing that's important to note is yes, we are an NFT community. So Kingdome actually started as an NFT platform, but what I want to make clear is that the NFT component to all of this, think about it as kind of like a season ticket. And you nailed it on the head at the outset, right? The Kingdome actually hosts several different sports, leagues, events within our metaverse stadiums. So the NFT, by owning an NFT, it gives all NFT holders access into each one of these events for free. So we've actually held events with professional MMA organizations. We have a partnership with the Basketball League, which is a professional basketball league here in the US. And we've done events globally. That's what the NFT is for. For the upcoming LWS event this weekend, essentially NFT holders obviously get in for free as well as subscribers to the network. But we're also doing an Eventbrite link, which all proceeds 100% goes to charity, goes to Uplay.
Gotcha.
So I did just want to kind of clarify that at the outset as well. Yes, I understand. Obviously, I've read through the comments. I know that there's a certain sensitivity around NFTs. I just wanted to make that clear. There's no NFTs required whatsoever to access the experience.
Sweet. So the NFT is essentially something that people who have bought that will have free access to the event through you all. People who have Disc Golf Network subscription will have free access to it. And then people who just want to experience it can just pay $2, no NFT, no nothing like that. You're just getting a, traditional ticket to be able to access this essentially.
That's exactly what it is. And listen, I mean, I think you guys talked about this and you nailed it on the head. And I've been listening for a while. So first of all, kudos to you guys. This is super interesting. I've never tuned in before.
Oh,
but
awesome.
There's a few pieces that I guess, and sorry, I don't want to hijack the
No, go for it.
No, you're good.
Okay, cool. So I think just a few minutes ago, you guys were talking about the popularity of disc golf in general, right? And talking about, hey, if you're in a smaller city versus a larger city like Atlanta. One thing, and this is actually the ethos in terms of where our project and what our vision for all of this looks like, is there's two ways to consume sports right now, right? A is at the event in the real world. We call it IRL. You have to be at the stadium. There's nothing like that, right? I'm sure all of us can attest to that. Being at an actual sports event, there's nothing like it, especially if you're a fan of that sport. However, there's barriers to entry there, right? Whether they're economic, geographic. We all saw what COVID did to the stadium or attendance experience. There's certain obstacles towards the IRL experience. Now look at the other end of the spectrum, right? You could be sitting on your couch at home, watching on TV or a laptop. And if you think about it, sure, like you're watching the content, but it's not necessarily the most engaging or socializing way to consume the content, right? We're all on our phones texting with our friends about the event, or we're all, if you're a bettor, right, you're looking at live betting lines across different sports books and trying to see if you can get live lines for the event that you're watching at hand. So with the metaverse, right, like forget the word NFT, because I know that, again, that has a terrible connotation. But with the metaverse, what we have tried to recreate, and we've just scratched the surface, but what we've tried to recreate is breaking down the barriers that physical stadiums provide, right? And recreating a stadium experience in a digital environment so everybody could access it. You don't have to be in Bedford. You don't have to be in Atlanta. You could be anywhere in the world and still feel like you're actually at the stadium, or still feel like you're consuming the content with other like-minded sports fans. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense.
Are these people like having conversations during the game?
Exactly. So that's kind of where, listen, we're, again,
like, how does this sound work for that?
Yeah. So again, this is the beginning of all of this stuff. And you guys talked about, YouTube 360, so on and so forth, but we're still at the beginning stages. So what you're going to see now, you described it perfectly as a lounge, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're at a stage right now where it's a sports lounge. So you walk in, there's 3 screens. There's one massive theater style screen where we're taking the existing live stream and projecting it into the stadium. But to make it a little bit more engaging, a little bit different, we actually tried to build, I'd say, different incorporations around the event. So as an example, I don't know if you guys saw this or if it was in the press release.
Hold on a second. So it's not 3D. It's 2D, and you're in a 3D world, but you're watching something 2D.
Correct. So it's the existing live stream on a 2D screen into a 3D environment where, yes, you can voice.
Is that the same thing you were talking about, Hunter, with your game?
Not with
your game that you watched?
Not with March Madness. No. So March Madness they had
3D.
They had the 360 camera sitting on the sideline. So that was slightly different. But this is okay. More like you're at a movie theater, essentially, correct?
Yes. And I mean, listen, our vision for this, and we write this in our white paper, like our overall mission, is we want exactly like you described at the outset of the show, for you to walk into the stadium and literally feel like you're sitting in a seat, whether it's courtside, the 100 section, 200 section, choose your own views. Mm-hmm. And then you look to your left and it's your friend sitting right next to you, where you actually feel like you're sitting next to them.
Yeah.
But we're not there yet. The technology exists. It's just expensive,
mm-hmm.
right? Like the NCAA has a budget to be able to invest into that. And we're actually chatting with them about how can we actually take that first step. The problem is everybody's scared to do it.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone says, oh, there's this negative connotation about the metaverse, and we don't want to be the first to mess it up. Right. So we're still at that infancy where, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think, to kind of wrap everything up real quick, I think it is it's a service that some people are going to find super cool and they're going to be really into it. And there's going to be a bunch of people that don't. And my thing with the Disc Golf Pro Tour getting involved in it is like, as long as, like Hunter was saying, as long as like they're not funneling a ton of funds towards something like this and taking it away from other things, I don't see, having multiple. It's the same thing as like, some people, for example, like to listen to Joe Rogan's fight companion streams when UFC fights are going on, and they'll have the actual fight going on, and then they'll have Joe Rogan on their phone or YouTube, and it's like an additional way to kind of consume the content. Like, I think having multiple ways is completely fine. And it doesn't have to fit everyone's cup of tea. There are going to be some people that love it. There are going to be some people that think it's pointless and not like it. And that, I just don't think it's, as long as, like Hunter was saying, as long as the Disc Golf Pro Tour aren't writing fat checks to make this happen, then I don't see there's a problem with it.
Brodie, I'm going to jump. I know you guys want to continue the show. Just one last piece to finish off here. I mean, the different corporations that we're building around the event are also important to note, right? Like, we actually have a live halftime show within the stadium that we've actually put together separately. So we're featuring up and coming artists. We're featuring a pretty well-known recording artist out of Nashville. We actually build out competitions as well. So we're going to be doing an over-under competition for each one of the disc golfers who are participating in the LWS Open, where you could actually compete for official merchandise. You can compete for, monetary prizes. And I know there's certain community members who like it and don't, but you can also win NFTs. And then there's also a merchandise store. So we're trying to mimic that real-world stadium and build these different engagement and activation factors on top of the actual content.
Nice.
So I just wanted to finish with that.
No, I got one quick question for you. Because obviously, like the next steps in a stadium type sport make a lot of sense. What do you see? Like, what are some of your goals if this continues to be a regular thing with disc golf or even traditional golf in general? What are some ways that you think people can get more immersed by watching through y'all's service versus watching on YouTube? Like, is there a way in the future you think that there's like a camera following the cards or anything like that? Or like, what's some long-term visions?
Look up for everybody watching and for you guys, look up the Netaverse, Netaverse.
Okay.
It's what the Brooklyn Nets did. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yeah.
But that's the next step. And it's not the final step, right? The final step is literally feeling like, again, to your point, you put this on and you feel like you're actually at the event and you get to watch it in 360, hear the sounds, everything. What the Brooklyn Nets did is they took live gameplay and they kind of converted it to, if you ever played like NBA 2K or NHL, whatever, some of those online, 2K type games, they've converted it into that type of format. So you feel like you're in this digital universe and you're actually watching the game live. It's just in a 2K type of environment. That's the next step with all this.
Yeah, and
the last step again is really like a one-to-one image of what's actually happening in the real world, but that everybody could access and feel like they're actually at the stadium.
Now, correct, the Netaverse, you could like switch to almost be seeing like what Kevin Durant was seeing, correct?
That was one of the incorporations. I would say the main part of it though was that 2K type of recreation.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Go to YouTube and look it up, and you'll see kind of what they've built out. They never executed it though, right? They just kind of show the possibility of what this metaverse environment could look like. Again, the problem is dollars, and the problem is somebody needs to take their first step forward. Where I truly believe that every team and every league will have their own metaverse stadium in 5 to 10 years.
Yeah. No, okay. It makes perfect sense. I was just curious some of the different ideas going forward. Like I said, I'm gonna be in there this weekend checking it out. I'm all about VR stuff like that. I'm all into it. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited about it, and I really appreciate you hopping on and giving us a little bit of a broader explanation on it, on some more details that we didn't have. I really appreciate it.
Thank you guys for having me on. Just a quick sneak peek as well. Tomorrow we're actually doing we're calling it a meet and greet, but it's basically an interview in the stadium with Ricky Wysocki and Ella Hansen.
Sweet.
So, if you guys want to come check it out, that's tomorrow at 2:30 Pacific time. The link is open to everybody. You don't need a ticket or an NFT or anything, but could be some good exposure. And then we look forward to seeing you on Sunday. Thank you guys again for the time.
Yeah. Where do you find the link to the interview tomorrow?
Check the website, the kingdome.io.
Okay.
There's a section called How to Access.
Great.
You'll be able to find a link just to the meet and greet that we're doing tomorrow.
Perfect.
All right, fellas. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Have a good night.
Care.
See you guys.
Yeah, like I said, it is what it is. Is it my cup of tea? No. Sports fans' cup of tea? No. But
no,
is it
but
gonna,
it's definitely
it's going to be a niche market.
That's cool.
He's 100% right, and we talked about this on the Bogey Bro Banter a little bit ago. When you have a company like Facebook behind the metaverse, they're pouring so much time and energy into it that it's not going to flop. It's not going to fail. You've seen, they just did a commercial with a surgeon like practicing the surgery in the metaverse beforehand, and it's like it allows surgeons to actually physically do the surgery however many more times so that the success rate can go up and all this. Facebook has broad ideas, and when you have a company like that behind something like this, the technology is going to get there. Because they're going all in. Facebook changed their name to Meta and then created the metaverse. They're going all in on it. When the technology gets there, there is going to be a large, I don't want to say large, there's going to be a lot of people that this is a very legitimate way to consume sports. Because like the Netaverse, I remember when that...
They're going to try that. They're going to at least try it out.
Yeah, and when the technology gets big enough, like it's one step, like where we are right now, it's not everyone's cup of tea. You like, I'll probably feel like, oh, this is kind of cool. This is fun. It's going to depend a lot on who all's in there and how much people are talking and stuff like that, obviously.
That's where I think it's weird.
But the next step...
Am I not hearing the commentary?
You should be. It should be like you're you're watching a movie with a bunch of
movie theater.
So Silas, start talking like you're the commentary.
Yeah. Ricky steps up for his putt, and
what do you think?
juices
What's going
it
on
from
later today?
40 feet.
Are you gonna get?
Yeah.
Like,
you should
multiply that by 25 people. Is it like a proximity thing?
you should be able to control volume to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Most of these things have like a commentary, live chat.
What's going to stop someone just running up on me and be like, "Ah!"
Well, that's the other thing. So assuming this is like other things in VR, it's a very realistic room scenario, right? To where if me and you are right next to each other, I can hear you. You could whisper and I could hear you. If you're 20 feet away,
someone like
I've never been in the metaverse. I've
like
only
Black
done
Mirror, where they like. Have you seen that? We've watched that episode, Black Mirror, where like you can literally like block someone and they just like turn fuzzy and they're like, and you can't hear them anymore.
I mean, you could definitely do that in the metaverse. I'm sure.
Yeah,
that would be sick.
But where the technology is right now, like it's a cool ad. It's not like he was saying. It's something they're adding to the people who've bought NFTs, but you don't have to buy an NFT to be a part of it. You can do tickets and stuff. And if you're a part of the Disc Golf Network, it's completely, free.
Oh, so Alexander said you can join a room with just your friends if you want to.
So it's very much like it's very much like other VR things I've been a part of, to where like me, Jimmy, and Trevor could hop in a room and play mini golf. And like if my brother Jimmy's standing by the hole and I'm at the tee of mini golf, he has to basically yell for me to hear him. Versus like when he's up on the tee right next to me. So it's like you're in a room. So like we could all just have like a room of like 5 people watching it, versus if we like if you're in Dallas, Silas is out of town.
This past weekend was the perfect example where we were all kind of spread out.
Yeah, Trevor's at the beach, Connor's at the beach.
Would we be like, hey, everyone, let's jump in a VR thing and watch the women's?
Could we have? Yeah.
We should just have our meetings in VR.
That's too far. I don't want to give into all of that. But like you can see where that would be fun, versus like we're all texting back and forth. It's like all 5 of us are just sitting. We're all sitting on our couch.
But here's the problem.
We're just talking.
This is the big issue, and kind of like he actually brought it up, right? And where he made it seem like it's an issue, where I actually think it is the advantage for a lot of people that they aren't locked into one thing. They can switch from the game to red zone to look at their phone and look at their bets to Instagram to Twitter. They can do all those things all at once. Like, are you tweeting while you're in the metaverse? Can you do like can you blink a couple times and bring up Twitter?
It depends. I don't know how this will work. I've never been in the metaverse. In other apps, you can just bring up the menu and you can literally browse the web. In other apps, I can just pop a menu up and just
you can probably do that. And
you just click, type.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
I think there's a lot of people. I think there are a lot of people that like consuming like.
No, but you got if you think of the future of a technology like this, and if they are able to accomplish something where similar to the Netaverse, what the Brooklyn Nets did, what you could be switching between is there could basically be I don't fully understand the technology, but for easiest way to explain it, there could basically be a 360 camera behind the tee. Like the person carrying the scoreboard or something has a 360 camera on. And so you can maybe every caddy has one. So you can switch from a view where I'm watching Brodie Smith. I'm on the Brodie Smith view. Everything you do during that round, I'm watching. And so I am basically your caddy in that case. We don't
even have enough cameras for the actual.
No, I'm saying this is the future development of this. This would be like Kingdome wants to invest in this. This would be they invest, not the Pro Tour invests. So Kingdome is setting this up because they want more people to buy the NFT to have the full season-long thing.
That's smart.
Okay, I could see that. Yeah, I could see that.
And so then it's like it would probably start like I can switch lead card, follow cam, chase card, third card, or just the live coverage. So it would be in its current state, it's basically the same type of experience. It's just watching disc golf. They have some additional benefits, like they were talking about different prizes and stuff. The next step down, it's a whole new way to experience disc golf. It's a whole new way to experience sports in general, where you're not in person, but you're also not sitting on your couch watching it. It's like one step more immersed into the sport. So it's the same thing. It's not for everyone, but it might be for a percentage of people.
Anything that like people are trying to do to get disc golf more exposure and try to get more creative ways, I'm all for.
Yeah.
And again, it's just like it all goes back to like the funds that disc golf right now has.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's a lot of questions that I already have with how with maybe where some money's going from the Pro Tour and maybe where it should be going. So like that would be the big thing, I think, for a lot of the pros probably with this is just like moving forward. And again, though, the problem is at the end of the day, the Pro Tour is a nonprofit, or no, is a profit. Like they're a business.
Yeah.
They're not a nonprofit. So at the end of the day, what they decide to do, we really have no say. It's like it's not like the PGA Tour where the players are the tour.
Yeah.
And are a part of it. We elect to play in their events, and so they kind of hold all the power on how they want to run things. So obviously Jeff Spring's really good with like taking questions and concerns and stuff like that from the players. But ultimately at the end of the day, if they want to go out and do something, there's not really much we can do about it.
Yeah. What it sounds like to me is this isn't something that the Pro Tour is putting money towards, because it's not something that benefits the Pro Tour per se right now, but it benefits this Kingdome company because
try to get more people over there.
They're selling their NFTs as, the NFTs, there's obviously a lot of concerns with NFTs. The biggest NFTs that are scams are something that don't have any actual value. These NFTs, obviously there's some, what's the environmental concerns with like the amount of technology it makes and stuff like that. Same thing with like Bitcoin and stuff. I've never studied it. Crypto.
I know nothing about NFTs.
Yeah,
Let's not even talk about that.
But I'm saying
I have no interest.
Well, the NFTs that they provide they're not necessarily the scam type that a lot of people think of when they hear NFT, because it's tied to a service. It's basically you're buying
right there, though.
You're buying a season ticket.
You literally just said aren't necessarily the scams.
No, like
stop.
Well, the scam type of NFTs are the NFTs that are like you bought a
These
board.
aren't the really bad scams. These are just like are like the mediocre scams.
No,
they're
from
not
what
really gonna.
I don't know Kingdome, their business well enough to be like, oh, dude, 100% Hunter Thomas seal of approval. I trust it, but it's a similar thing like what Gary V's done. Other people have done where they provide an
Invest
NFT.
all your money in it.
They provide an NFT that has physical backing to it, where it's like you buy this NFT and it gets you access to things. Versus other ones are like a trading card, but they are just a line of code to where like there is no physical backing. You just own that. Like it doesn't get you access to anything. It doesn't get you anything in the real world. It's just a picture. Those are the NFTs that when people hear NFTs, they think that's a scam. It's got to be. Most of them, yeah. You could call trading cards a scam to a certain extent. Some of them are just straight up scams. But ones that have physical backing and it's like you're paying to get a service, yes, you have to use crypto to buy it, which makes people uncomfortable. But you can look at it as like Patreon or a subscription to Netflix or something like that in a lot of ways.
Let's put a bow on this and go to a different topic, Silas.
Let's pull in some topics.
All I'm going to say is to put a bow on it. Hunter's telling everyone, if you're watching this right now live on YouTube or listening on platforms, take all your money out of your savings accounts.
Nope.
Pull all your money out of stocks and just buy the crap out of NFTs.
No, I do own some. I own some crypto. I don't own any NFTs.
Hey, we could see a Kingdome sponsored player. That'd be kind of cool.
Well, I think
they just like follow that one person.
I think the Pro Tour, as Silas pulls something up, I think where this didn't go as well as it could have is the Pro Tour wasn't open enough about the relationship, if that makes sense. Because like we could be saying all this, and the Pro Tour could be paying them $15,000. They definitely aren't. But you know what I'm saying? Because we don't know. So I think that's where it kind of fell apart slightly, is that the Pro Tour wasn't open enough. But it seems to me, it seems like a cool opportunity, and it seems like a cool thing that will grow the sport slightly, because there are going to be people that bought these NFTs to have this season-long pass that have never heard of disc golf, and this is just one of the things they get, and they'll be like, oh, well, I already paid for it. I already have access to it. I'm going to watch it for free.
Yeah, that's gonna be like 5 people.
Hey, that's 5 people. That's 5 people that didn't watch it before.
Yeah, come on, man.
I also over-exaggerated
that. And you know what? One of those 5 people might have access to 35 live streaming cameras.
Oh,
you sound like one of those. You sound like one of those emails though from like those people being like, "Hey, Brodie, have you ever thought that you have 2 million subscribers? If you only get 1% of your subscribers to do this, you end up making $10,000 a month." It's like, all right,
yeah.
All right.
What else we got?
We got a topic here. I think this is a good one. This person says, I want to hear a counter argument to this. All Silver Series should be 3 rounds. All Elite Series should be 4 rounds. And all Majors should be 5 rounds.
Silver Series 3, Elite Series 4, Majors 5.
And then they were saying a cut after 3 rounds. So there would be no cut on Silver Series, but Elite Series and Majors would have a cut after 3 rounds.
Silver
I
Series.
like a cut after 3. I like a cut after 2.
Yeah.
I don't like 5 rounds.
I think if anything's 5 rounds, it's
too
Worlds.
much.
Worlds would be
so long.
Worlds would be the only tournament that I think would have like something to set it apart. 4 rounds for Pro Tours and 4 rounds for Majors. I agree. I think that's what it should be.
3-4-4.
And I think cut after 2. Yeah. Now Silver Series, I mean, they are what they are. Like 3 round, 4 round. You can have a 4 round B tier. I think that there should be a standard for Pro Tours and Majors.
There should be a standard.
This might be a little bit of a hot take. And it actually might be it might be one that disagrees with what I was previously saying. Like not that long ago. I think there should be more 3-day events.
Really?
4-day events.
Why?
Yeah.
Explain it to me.
Money.
Oh, the money it costs to run 4 round events?
I think right now with where disc golf is right now, your most popular rounds are going to be Saturday and Sunday. They're always going to be Saturday and Sunday.
Hot take from Simon. Simon Lazat's in the chat. Unpopular opinion, Worlds should be 7 rounds.
See, that's what I'm saying.
It's a very unpopular opinion.
I'm with them. Worlds, if we're going to call a tournament the World Championship and it's going to rotate, the course doesn't set it apart, it's an every year event, and it's 4 rounds like every other major, why is that one? Why is the title?
How does that make financial sense?
This isn't financial sense.
Please.
This isn't financial sense.
Well,
This is
it's
prestigious.
a business. They're running a business.
The PDGA is a nonprofit. The PDGA is a nonprofit putting on Worlds. The PDGA isn't there to make money. Literally.
We saw what they did when they had to put on a 4-day event. You want them to put down a 7-day event now?
Yeah. Well, no. What I'm saying
Come on, Hunter.
What I'm saying is, if you're going to call someone a world champion, if you're going to call someone a world champion, that's a whole separate thing because that doesn't matter. That's irrelevant to this right now. If you're going to call someone a world champion and you're going to have so much prestige and so much weight with that title in a lot of ways sets you for life because you get names on discs, you get custom runs, bigger contract. So much comes with being a world champion. Why is it the same as every other event? Like, it's no harder to win a Worlds than any other event.
Why do they only play 1 game for the Super Bowl? Actually, you're right.
What?
There should be like 4 games for the Super Bowl.
No. What?
You're 100%. No, you're 100%
I
right.
agree with that.
How does a team get into the Super Bowl? How does a team get to the Super Bowl?
Playoff.
But
they
when
have
you
to go
get
through
the
a bunch
Super
of
Bowl,
people.
But when you get to the Super Bowl, you only have to
The NBA
win 1
plays
game against that team.
Playoffs.
You can't factor that. What are you talking about?
The MLB plays playoffs too. Why doesn't the NFL?
So does the
Super Bowl
NBA.
needs to be Super Bowl needs to be a 5 games. No,
Football
5
can
game
never have a
series.
multiple game series
Why not?
because
Why
it's so
not?
physically demanding. That would have to take literally a month to get through.
Hockey. Best out of
Wow.
7.
People lose teeth in hockey. Good
Best
call,
out of
Silas.
7.
We went
Point
over
to
this.
Silas.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so what's the bracket
It's
play
easy
for Worlds?
Tom
What's
Brady to
the
show
bracket
up,
play for Worlds?
4 quarters and win. That's
So
easy.
he played 4 quarters,
Do it
wins you a
over
Super Bowl.
16 quarters.
Four-
Do it over 16 quarters.
Brodie, use your sports brain here for 2 seconds. 4 quarters wins you a Super Bowl. That's it. Of course
Yeah.
not. You played a whole season to make the playoffs and get good seeding. Then you played the whole playoffs to get to the Super Bowl. Then you play 4 quarters.
I mean, you could also be the Buffalo Bills and just lose by a coin flip.
Yeah, that's brutal. That's brutal. But I'm just saying, like, you can't possibly be serious comparing that.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. Do you know why? Like March Madness is so long, or they have 7-game series? Do you know why they do all this thing?
March Madness
all this
doesn't have
stuff?
7-game series.
No. Do you know March Madness is super long though? It's like 2.5 weeks.
Yeah. 64 teams.
Do you know why? Though?
I'm sure the root of it is money. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also determining the champion.
Why would you why would you want to run a 7-day event if you're theoretically losing money each day already? Why would you want to be like, hey, you know what we should
Are
do?
they
We
losing
should
money
extend
each
it.
day? I'd like to
I
see
don't
that
know.
stat. I'd like to see that. Why was Worlds 9 rounds back when they were a much smaller PDGA? When they were trying to grow, why did they make Worlds 9 rounds back
How much money are they put? I watch coverage back there. You're not telling me they put.
The PDGA isn't putting money into coverage. The Disc Golf Network provides coverage.
I'm saying the actual event, Hunter. The money that it costs to run an event. Like, if you haven't been to a Disc Golf Pro Tour in a while, these are actually they're trying to make these into an events.
Sure.
They're spending money to make these look like actually events and not just like you're just showing up to a park. That's what it was. Like,
sure, but the PDGA and the Pro Tour are two different things. The PDGA is making money from sanctioning every tournament that's sanctioned. They get a fee off of every head. They have insurance being brought through every single thing. Every single PDGA member is paying a fee.
Company that we're talking about the company that was too cheap to spend. I don't even know how much it was. Was it $1,000? I can't remember what it was.
Yes, but you're looking at it from two different perspectives. The PDGA, they don't make their money running majors. To them, I do not see them ever thinking we're not going to run this major because it's losing us money. That's not their goal. The major's a part of what everyone's paying for, right? Now,
tennis, golf.
Which one of those has a world title? The number one, you win it and it's your world championship.
Hold on, tennis, golf, gymnastics, figure skating, billiards. Trying to think. I could probably get some more here if I think a little bit more. They all do the same thing, tournament to tournament.
Which one's a world title? Give me the world title.
Wimbledon is going on right now.
Is the winner?
Wimbledon.
The winner of Wimbledon's a world champion.
It's a major.
Period.
It's a major.
No, not a major champion. World champion. Not a major champion. I would be on your page if the title of this event was the Players' Championship. But you're calling someone a world championship. It's way harder, in my opinion, to win.
World championship in cornhole.
What's it look like? Let's break it down. Do they do more rounds?
It's still bracket play, like the same as probably every other tournament.
How do they get into the worlds at cornhole?
UFC. You fight one time, you win the belt. Boxing, you fight one time.
How do you get to where you can fight to win that belt? You just show up. You step in and you can just win a belt.
Hold on. Point to you. UFC 5 rounds for
title fights.
All title fights, but also 5 rounds for also main event fights. So you lose a little. You got a point, but then you lost a little point because.
But I'm also confused.
There is that moment.
I'm confused because you've voiced wanting Worlds to be every other year to make it special. So if Worlds is every year, why wouldn't making it longer make it special? Because you agree Worlds need to be separate and special.
No. I'm not against. You guys got to doing 7 rounds would make it stand out.
Yes.
I'm not against that at all. I'm talking about simply from a business.
I still think he froze. From a business standpoint, I don't think the PDGA, when they run majors, they're focused on making money. Like the PDGA makes their money. I mean, we can pull up the actual audit of the PDGA they do every year. Their money's coming from memberships, sanctioning fees, all of that stuff. Sanctioning fees on the front end where you actually pay, $75 to run a B tier, and then $2 or $3 a head every single event. That's where the PDGA is making their money, and they're making a lot of money. If they lose $5,000, which they shouldn't, they should be able to run a 7-round event and still break even at least on a world championship, especially when you consider they're also running AM Worlds, where AM Worlds should be one of the most profitable events you run, in my opinion. But on Pro Worlds, if they're breaking even or they're losing a few $1,000s or something to put on an event and crown a world champion, that's a no-brainer to me. If it's just a money thing and it's we're not going to do it just because we're going to lose a little bit of money, it's almost like you might lose money for 3 or 4 or 5 years before it gets big enough. What do you think, Silas? As someone newer to the sport, would Worlds feel more special to you if it was a longer event, or do you think just the title's enough?
I think the longer event would be cool. I mean, no doubt. It would make it. Brodie just left a call.
I think his internet just completely crapped out.
Yeah.
His take was so bad it just crashed the Wi-Fi's internet.
Back.
Let me back in here. Get me back in here.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Silas was about to talk, but Brodie's hot. Brodie's hot.
Here, man.
He's back.
All right. What the heck's going on with my? Hold on.
I think your take was so bad. I think you crashed the Wi-Fi.
How is it a bad take? I'm literally saying, from a business standpoint, it doesn't make sense.
But
I never said it. I wouldn't say it wouldn't make.
You have to look at the PDGA as a whole scope.
What?
You have to look at the PDGA as a whole scope, right? The PDGA is a nonprofit, obviously, but they bring in a lot of money, and at the end of the year, their assets grow year over year over year. So if they lose, let's just say, how much money do you think they would lose at a 7-round event? Just rough estimate it.
Well, are they running it like a world championship? Because that's the other thing, Hunter. Are we talking about that? Are we talking about the fact that when you show up as a spectator, that the event looks exactly the same, and all you did is you just added a couple extra days? Like, if the event looks exactly the same as all these other Pro Tour events, then adding a couple. What is going on with my internet?
I don't know, man. Adding a couple days still separates it. If it looks the exact same as everything else.
You're going to tell me right now that if the World Championship looks exactly like Idlewild this weekend,
mm-hmm.
that's not like a bigger issue that they should probably think about, of like, hey, how do we make this feel like a bigger event?
Sure, but that issue needs to be fixed at a 4-round event or a 7-round event. That issue's still an issue, no matter how many rounds you put on. I would say at a 7-round event, it at least feels special.
To do that my whole point is that from a business standpoint, it's the same thing when I've talked about MPO and FPO. Like having two tour events,
mm-hmm.
or essentially two tour events at the same time, is way harder to manage than just only having to manage one. You're spreading yourself thin.
So
you see what I'm saying?
I have the PDGA's audit brought up. What would you expect their number one income generator? This is from 2019. I just Googled it, and this is the one I found. But
there's memberships. Isn't that their only revenue generator?
No.
Are they selling discs?
So the dues and membership fees in 2019, which obviously disc golf's grown a lot since then, dues and membership fees brought in $2.5 million for the PDGA. Tournament events, which is, I would imagine, the sanctioning of all of that.
They take a little kickback
from every event.
Tournament.
$1.7 million. $1.7 million for tournament events. Merchandise, $147,000. Sponsors brought in an additional $99,489.
Wait, stop. What merchandise?
Merchandise.
Say it again?
Merchandise brought in $150,000.
What are they selling?
They have the pro shop at the course, and then you can buy stuff online through the PDGA. I would imagine, I don't know where Ace and Eagle Club would go in, but that might go in there.
Silas, I can't see the chat right now.
He's gone again. I'll keep going over the numbers. Investment earnings, I don't know what the PDGA is invested in. Investment earnings, an additional $2,000. Other income, this one's interesting. Other income, $311,281. So, 2019, the PDGA brought in a total of What?
Think again, baby.
I'm
back, baby.
You're not back.
No, you're not.
What do you mean I'm not?
Your camera's spinning. The total revenue without donor restrictions, so basically this money wasn't donated for a specific thing, was
buying stuff on the PDGA's website.
People do. You get discounts.
Who is doing that? Is there anyone in the chat doing that?
I don't know.
There's no way. I don't believe that.
So the total revenue without donor restrictions in 2019 was $4.8 million. Then they spent $3.35 on program services. They spent $1.16 on management and general expenses million. So they spent $4.5 million, and their assets increased $294,000 in 2019. And then you can see the breakdown of salaries, all of that stuff. If you actually
what are we talking about right now?
I'm saying
explain to me right now?
I'm showing you that their money being brought in doesn't even have majors, Am Worlds, Junior Worlds, any of that, even listed as an income source.
So don't you think that's a problem?
They're a nonprofit. I think that part of their responsibility is putting on the best event that they can put on. Period. And so, like, to me,
wait, are we saying the same thing here?
Yeah, I think we are. But to me, part of that is a 7-round event. And if it's because I think where we're disconnected is if you have a 4-round.
Why do you want 7 rounds?
Because we're calling someone a world champion. I want them to earn it more than any other title, to hold the title of world champion.
Okay, so before we do that, then can we make the world championship not a major?
Like it is a new level above a major.
Yeah, well, why are we trying to make
That's
it
fine.
7? Like, because if you make it 7 rounds, then we have to make every major 7 rounds because it's on the same tier.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with increasing the tier.
Okay, all right.
But would you not agree that, like, the problem of it looking like a Pro Tour event is the same problem whether it's a 4-round or a 7-round event?
I guess what I'm struggling with is like just keeping everything this, because what my thought process is like you're saying if everything stays the same as it is and it just went to 7 rounds, all of a sudden it becomes more prestigious or it matters more or whatever you're saying. To me, like, I guess the disconnect, I'm not disagreeing with you in the thought that yes, if we went to play a tournament that was 7 rounds, that everyone would think like, okay, wow, this is a different thing than everything else. It's more taxing, there's more grueling, you have to be on for longer. My thing is there are so many other things that I would love to see before that.
Well, I think
maybe they all can do it together, but like to me, Worlds should be like the hardest field to get into. Like it should be very like I'm cool with some of these other majors where like Champions Cup, I believe they have like some amateurs that win events. I think they got into there. I like the qualifying process that USDGC has where you can qualify in like some smaller tournaments and all that stuff. I think that's kind of a cool aspect. But if we're doing the World Championship and you're trying to make it like, hey, this matters more than everything else, then it needs to be the best field. And it needs to be the best field in the world. It needs to have the best players from Australia, from Japan, from Europe, from America, from South. It needs to have the best players in the world. The top 100 players in the world are at this event. That to me is so much more important than being like, hey, everything's going to stay the same and we're increasing. I guess that was my debate was like, what is the most important thing? I'm not debating that 7 rounds isn't something that like would change stuff. I'm debating the fact that I think that's so far down the list on what could actually make Worlds be like, holy cow. If you were like literally the top 100 players in the world are playing at this event and the Open is coming up in 2 weeks and people are getting so excited for it because especially with this live situation going on, like the majors are really the only tournaments that we're ever going to see now. Together. The best. Yeah. And so like that to me is going to be super special of like, we get to see all the Europeans come over. We get to see, like I said, if there are Australians, if there are people in Asia, if there are people in South America, like these are events that they would qualify for by their world ranking or whatever you want to do it. And it's the best of the best. Like to me, that would be such a cooler environment than it's like literally the same people that are playing at Idlewild are now playing at Worlds, and we're just calling it Worlds. And oh, guess what? It's not 4 rounds; it's 7.
Well, I think the tough part now there's 2 counters. One, I think the tough part is the world title is already being held at such a prestige without anything additional, without the qualification process, without multiple rounds, whatever change needs to be made, it's already being held at that prestige with it being the same. So I think that's one issue of where I'm saying like something's got to change in my head is because like personally, I feel like whoever wins USDGC won the hardest major of the year to win 9 times out of 10. Sometimes Worlds might be harder, conditions, course, whatever, but USDGC, you know what you're getting. And to me, like USDGC, I've always felt like is a more prestigious title because when you look at previous US champions, you know what they went through. You know the course they played, you know the conditions, you know all of that. And so you have a history
saying
with it.
things, but you're saying things right now that matter. Like the course matters. If we
Sure.
made Worlds a very difficult course,
Absolutely.
we made the majors more difficult. I think that again matters than playing the Memorial, than playing at Fountain Hills for
Sure.
7 rounds
No.
and crowning someone a world champion.
Absolutely. It should be at a very prestigious course, but you have to also question, like, a course isn't enough for a title to be held as high as it is above all the other majors, in my opinion.
If you had the best players in the world.
But you get that right now, you get that at most events. Most majors have the best players in the world.
I mean, the European Open won't.
It'll have a decent chunk.
But it won't have the top of the top.
Who's missing?
Like we just saw what happens at. I think FPO is a good example.
FPO is a great example.
We just saw this past week what happens when you have everyone that is decent at disc golf show up to an event.
Yeah.
Right? Because there were a lot of people in the top 20 there that are not touring pros, that we don't get to see every event.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was really exciting. There was so many people near the top. And I think that's what you would get at Worlds every single time is like you would get the best 100 players in the world at that moment. Here's an interesting
But how are you
question,
going to determine the best 100 players if those 100 players aren't playing tour events?
That's the tricky thing of trying to come up with a world ranking system. And obviously right now there's only 2 tours, right? Does Asia have any sort of disc golf tour?
Not a super developed one. I think they do have an Asia tour, but it's not really ever talked about. It's not a big one.
Okay.
It's pretty much just the European tour and the Pro Tour are the 2 bigger ones.
For sure. And yeah, I mean, that is going to be an issue of like, yeah, if you want to qualify in this world championship, for example, and you want to be one of the top people in the world, unfortunately, you probably at this point in time, I'm setting stuff up more towards like down the road of where disc golf is established across the world.
Yeah.
And you're getting the cream of the crop, if you will.
Well, because I think the issue too, though, is that Worlds used to do this. Because like if I tell you Paul won, 2012 through 2015 Worlds, right? To a person today, that means 4 rounds. But I'm pretty sure all of those he played more than 4 rounds. And then Greg Barsby won a 2018 Worlds at 4 rounds. And then you go back, there's some people that won Worlds at 9 rounds, literally.
This is my
Worlds
point.
hasn't been consistent, I think, is my issue. To where like when you say you won Worlds, what does it mean?
Yeah, that's bad. But like what you just said is a perfect point. Like I love Greg Barsby, but does Greg Barsby win if he has to play 3 more rounds?
And we'll never know.
We'll never know, but like where would you put your money? I think most people would put their money saying no. Okay. And this kind of brings my point of like the reason why March Madness, in my opinion, is one of the best sporting events of the year is because a team can just get hot for 1 game and have an upset of a lifetime, right? If you go back in time and you know that everyone's playing 5-game series, a 1 seed is never losing to a 16 seed in a 5-game series.
No.
Me versus you in disc golf. If we were coming out of the series, it was me versus you in disc golf, and we played 1 time. I think a lot of people tune in to see like, oh, can Hunter upset Brodie? But if we were like, hey guys, the video's kind of long today because me and Hunter did a 5-round series, and the winner of the 5 rounds is the champion. I don't think that's as entertaining because the person that's better is going to probably win the majority of the time.
Absolutely. But I think that's important though in a world championship.
But does that take away the excitement a little bit in the fact of when you do a world championship, you make it long enough to where someone theoretically couldn't really just get hot for like 3 or 4 rounds and win, like a Greg Barsby.
I mean,
do you want it to have it set up in a way to where going into it, you literally know there's 3 guys that are probably going to wwin?
Well, like
or 4 or 5 or whatever it is.
In my opinion, 2014 Worlds is one of, if not the most exciting disc golf tournaments of all time. And it was 6 rounds, a semifinal, and a final. So technically 8 rounds. I think the final was just the final 9. Semis was a full round.
Well, this is like a terrible example of.
But it was very thrilling. It was Ricky and Paul, best 2 players in the field. They go into like a 6 or 7 hole playoff.
But I'm sure
that was thrilling.
There was some, yeah, sure, but I'm sure there also were world championships where there were 7 rounds and there was a 15-shot lead going into the final round.
Sure, but
that's my problem. When you do 7 rounds, that
my
would be my biggest
whole
issue.
problem.
That's my biggest issue.
Yeah,
that's my biggest issue.
But it's a world championship. If someone can body the entire field and win by 15, do it. It's worlds. Like you're a world champion. Like that's. I think my issue is that it's called worlds. Like if someone is so good that no one else can even smell their freaking crap for 7 rounds, they're that far ahead of them, then that person is a world champion. Period.
Yeah,
like,
no, for sure.
That's the thing.
Sure.
Is like that should be. There should be blowouts at worlds. There should be.
I'm just giving devil advocate
answers
absolutely.
I think there's 2 options
of how things are. I think every sport is different because I think like
the title and the prestige of a world champion is what the issue is, because you either have to remove that and make it just a normal major, or you need to make it where the best player wins.
But I'm even thinking of the Olympics too. Like the Olympics, they have some that are like qualifying, right?
Yeah.
Where you like, sure, you qualify, but like obviously all the top players are going, all the top athletes are going to qualify. And then it's like, okay, like this one race is going to decide who the Olympic gold medalist is. It's not hey, we're going to do the best of 5 to really decide.
But they went through multiple heats to get there. So they qualified for their country. Then they went through multiple heats. And it's also Usain Bolt is Usain Bolt.
But like Champions Cup, like you would be all for that old format then of where everyone plays and qualifies to get to the top 4. You qualify, like that's basically what Champions Cup was trying to do.
I would have liked it minus the match play. The match play is what I hated. If they did something like that for Worlds,
loved it to where
Worlds, I'm okay with something more like that. That
would be wild.
The final night, that's what they did. That's what they did.
No, I'm talking about like because in the way they have it, the way they have qualifying in the Olympics is they don't put like 5 of the top fastest people in the world in one heat.
No.
And 2 people just get knocked out. They put to the point of where there's like me and someone else, and we're looking at each other before we're about to run this 100 meters and being like, we're about to smoke everyone and qualify. And then another heat comes and there's like 2 other people being like, we're going to smoke everyone. Like for the most part, they separate to where there's never a situation where the fastest person in the world doesn't even qualify for the finals, right?
But the Olympics aren't the best example because like there's not randomness that can happen.
But that's not my point. My point is like let's just get crazy here and think about this. What if there was like 4 groups? Okay. So like you almost did like a snake draft. So number 1 in the world, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7, number 8, number 9. Okay, you go all the way down to 100. And now you have 4 pools of players. And then those 4 pools of players go out and play 4 rounds. And out of those 4 pools of players, like the top 5 from each pool qualifies, and they all play a final 18 or a final 3 rounds. Like, are we willing to get that freaky and like just get out there with ideas?
I'm open to exploring. I'm open to exploring something like that. I'm just saying, in my head, there's 2 options. We make Worlds a normal major and remove the prestige that's tied to something that's not any harder to win than a normal major, but is so much drastically more important to win than a normal major, or we make Worlds harder to win. So we either remove the prestige and make it a normal major, or we make it harder to win.
Okay,
I think those are the only 2 options.
Time out. Another question.
Yeah.
I'm just going to throw it out there. Here we go. This is a perfect example because I know everyone's saying, and what you just said is some people are saying this in chat of like harder.
Brodie, also, hate to break to you, but Simon Lazat agrees with Hunter.
Well, I mean, yeah.
He was he was the one that brought this up, Silas. This was his whole thing.
Yes.
I'm to be completely honest with you, Brodie. To be completely honest with you, I'm surprised you disagree with me. I'm pretty surprised.
What do we disagree? I don't think I disagree with you. I'm saying 7 rounds would make it stand out.
Okay.
I'm not disagreeing with that.
Never mind then. We're fine. We're cool with that.
I'm saying there's other things that may be okay, but I will disagree with this of saying that adding rounds makes it harder, and this is why.
It does make it harder to win.
Hold on. Let me give an example, and you tell me. Okay, you show up to a local mini at Falling Creek.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you have to play 4 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
You're the highest rated player there by 30 points.
Okay.
Are you feeling pretty good about winning that?
If I'm the highest rated by 30 points across 4 rounds, yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about winning that.
Okay, now it's a 1-round tournament. Are you feeling pretty good?
No.
About winning still?
No.
So 1 round's actually harder to win for you than 4.
But it's more random.
I rest my case.
This is such a dumb argument. Like,
Which one's harder to win?
I get what you're
Which
saying.
one's harder to win?
I get what you're saying. But
my point is when there's
it's
less
harder.
rounds,
It's harder as the best player to win. It's easier as a worse player to win, which is what you don't want in a world championship. Because if I'm the person that's 1,000 rated and you're 1030, way easier to win a 1-round event. It's impossible to win a 4. And if you add that to 6, like you and I go out to Falling Creek, there is a chance at Falling Creek Reds. There is a chance I beat you 1 round.
You could beat me in 1 round.
There's no chance I beat you across 3.
So which one is more interesting to watch as a fan?
As a fan, 1 round, but that's not what World should be about. If we're holding it because, like, I think the
okay. So why are we even having the tournament?
That's the secondary part of the question.
You're the number 1 player in the world. You're the world champion.
Well, no, because
no tournament necessary.
No, because the number 2 and number 3 player, like right now, Chris Dickerson.
They're so far down. They're so far down. It's not even close.
They're not.
No, I'm saying. Theoretical. They're so far down. They're not even close. Why are we even having a tournament?
If that was the case, why have a tournament? Absolutely. That's not.
I think you're having a tournament. I think the problem is here, Hunter, is like I'm looking at it more on a side of like what's the most entertaining thing, because I'm sure like if you could go to Duke, okay, this might hit home a little bit for you.
Okay.
But if we go back to all those Duke teams that were the number 1 seed, everyone thought they were going to win.
We never win as the number 1 seed.
Everyone thought they were a shoo-in to be in the Final 4, but they got upset in the Sweet 16. They got upset in the Elite 8. If you went back to those teams, you went back to Grant Hill, if you went back to freaking who are some other JJ Redick, to some other Duke guys,
Shane
and you're
Battier.
like, hey, let Shane Battier go like, hey, listen, I have a time machine, okay? And if you want, we can go back in time and you can play that tournament over again, and every game is actually going to be a series to 3. Like it's each 3 series, and then the championships can be a 5-game series. You don't think every single one of those players would do that?
Maybe, but basketball is such a different sport. Because basketball,
how so?
You have 4 quarters. Like you have
18 holes.
But like basketball,
heck, Brooks Koepka was talking about. Now, granted, Brooks Koepka has said a lot of stuff, but Brooks Koepka is thinking that golf should only be like 12 holes.
Well, I think college basketball and NBA basketball are 2 different things, because college basketball, you don't know how good a 15 seed is till they get to the tournament. You have no idea. So there might be some 2 seeds.
They're not better than a 1 seed in a 5-game series or a 3-game series.
Okay, let's go. What would be another like slightly like a 7 and a 12 seed? There are some 12 seeds that are better than 7 seeds. Period.
Yeah, sure. What?
So like across like
what's that?
I'm saying like in basketball,
But a
such a
7 and
different
12
sport.
is not this.
Because like basketball's so different because like you're playing some of the conferences in the West Coast, like Davidson. When Davidson made their run, they never faced against the top players. They never faced against the top teams. So when Steph Curry popped off, everyone was like, what the heck's going on here? But like golf, everyone sees each other week in and week out. So like Davidson was very underrated, and you can have teams like Kentucky that are very overrated. Every year Kentucky's overrated. Kentucky sucks. Kentucky gets overrated. Davidson's underrated. They're a lot closer.
Simon just said something. Why doesn't Brodie understand that in sports you want the best player to win? The thing is, though, it's a lot of times it's the best player doesn't necessarily win all the time.
I'm fine. I am by far fine with the randomness at normal majors and normal events.
It's the best person at that moment.
I think honestly.
And so it's either 4 rounds, 7 rounds, 9 rounds, 12 rounds, whatever it may be. I mean, do you think Paige Pierce wins U.S. Women's if it's 7 rounds?
This year?
Yes, this year. She's the best player in the world.
No. I don't think she won this year. She was out of it. The courses, she had checked out before she even played the courses.
But if it was 7 rounds, do you think she checks out?
I think she has a much better chance at winning that, yeah. But, again, the margin, like Valerie Mandujano, Kristen Tatar, who wasn't there, Katrina Allen, there's a lot of players, Haley King, there's a lot of players at those courses, they were just as good at Paige as on those courses.
Wait, okay, time out. Now let's talk about players now. Let's talk about players. Okay, so Simon, answer me this. Riddle me this. You guys all, actually, Hunter, you answer this too.
Okay.
What are we doing with the Brodie Smiths that are 30 shots out of the lead after 2 rounds? How many more rounds do I have to just go out there and kill myself?
I think we go 4, initial cut.
I have to play 4 rounds.
Well, like what they used to do at Worlds is there's a pool A and a pool B.
I just have to kill myself for 4 rounds.
Yeah. It's Worlds. You qualified. Good job. You're out there, bud. Don't suck. And then you go cut, then you go semis, then final 9. Like what? Like my biggest thing is a world title. It's not even necessary just that you're called world champion.
All right,
but
so
it's
why
a
are we
life-changing. It's a life-changing win. Like
okay,
your
so
name.
answer this.
Yeah.
Why isn't there a big talk about golf majors being longer than four rounds?
Because none of them. There's no one major that is like.
No, the majors are more important though, Hunter. So why aren't they different than the normal PGA Tour events? Length.
Those are courses are the biggest thing with majors. The courses, right?
No. Time out. We're right now trying to set apart a world championship that is a major from the other majors.
Sure.
So then we also have to separate the other majors from the normal disc golf pro. You can't just, this is what we all talked about. You can't just say that it's a major. So
USDGC,
are those 5 rounds?
USDGC,
are those 5 rounds?
the course separates it. European Open, the course separates it.
Okay. So
Champions Cup, the qualification process. Also
but
going to be
that's my point. So then why don't we just say the top 100 players play at Worlds and that separates it? Why do we need 7 rounds then?
Because the top 100 players are going to. It doesn't. The top 100 players are going to play at the same events. Like I would be bamboozled if the top 100 players aren't at USDGC or at European Open or any of those events.
So why aren't people going after golf and saying the majors need to be longer?
Because the courses separate golf. Would you not say a major is harder to win?
Some of the. Would I not say
in golf is a major harder to win than a normal PGA Tour event? Because
of the pressure in the field.
Great. So they're separate. And golf's so much different than disc golf. Not every player at every event.
If anything, Hunter, honestly, I think a Corn Ferry Tour event is sometimes harder to win than like a PGA Championship.
But there's some PGA Tour events that people aren't at.
This is where I'm just like I'm trying to wrap my brain around. Like there are people that like are that have to go out and to qualify for an event, to like even just get into the event. If they are like even par after like, or if they're like 1 or 2 over after like 6 or 7 holes, they drop out. Because they know to qualify, they're going to have to shoot like a 65 or 66. And that's like qualify. So like what I'm saying now, like the Corn Ferry Tour, where some of the events you have to shoot like 33 under par, 27 under par. Like that to me is probably maybe more difficult at sometimes to play a course like that. Like I don't think the course necessarily is the thing that makes is the only thing that stands apart of what a major is a major.
But I'm just saying, Worlds, the biggest thing, like if Worlds was just another major, the major title alone is enough to add pressure to an event, sure. Worlds, it's not just adding pressure because you also want to make sure the world champion is the world champion of that year is the one that deserves it the most of that year because of how much gets done after they're a world champion.
Do you not think James Conrad was a worthy world champion because they only played 4 rounds last year?
No, he played the tournament that was in front of him and he won.
Okay, so what are we talking about?
I'm saying I would have rather him played and won over 6 rounds. Just like when Jeremy Colling won 2016 USDGC. It was after 3 rounds. It was canceled. I think that was the year Ricky Wysocki was going to win USDGC. But Ricky and Big Jerm.
Different. That's an event that was supposed to be 4 rounds and got canceled to 3.
Sure, but
everyone knew going into World that it was 4 rounds. You were going to play 2 at Mulligan's and then 2 at.
But what I'm saying is you can't go back and play the game of Greg Barsby, James Conrad, other world champions because everyone played the event that's in front of them and they came out on top. That's fine. I just don't like that Worlds got changed to 4 rounds because I think that degrades the tournament from where it previously was.
5?
Worlds was
5 rounds last year?
Might have been. They might have had a finals. I think they did. But I just don't like that. Like previously, there's some people that played 9 rounds, 6 rounds, whatever. I'll look it up for you, Brodie.
I look that up because I played all the rounds.
It was 5. It was 5 rounds. So boom.
Oh my god!
Already there.
So boom. Yeah, James Conrad, 5 rounds.
Even better.
Champ, boom.
But that's what I'm saying is like you can't take anything away from people.
Put a number of stars. That's what it should do. They should put the number of stars of how many rounds you played to win the world championship.
But I'm just saying, if we're going to have a world title that is like the holy grail in disc golf, and when you are a world champion, like Avery Jenkins can win a world championship and get his name on a destroyer for years until Paul gets his name on, and then he goes to the T-Bird. Greg Barsby gets his name on a Roadrunner, and they're getting royalty off of every single disc for years from winning a world championship. Like that type of prestige, that level in disc golf, in my opinion, should be something that is harder to attain than any other title in the sport.
Yeah, and the way to do that is by having the best players in the world there.
We're just not at a point where the best players in the world aren't going to be at other events.
Yeah, they are. The European Open.
But that's a traveling thing.
Champions
the
Cup.
best players in the world are still going to be at European Open. Which best players in the world aren't going to be at Champions Cup?
USDGC.
Which best players in the world aren't going to be at USDGC?
Well, let's look at how many people aren't qualified. I mean, again, my thought is like you could be like, oh, well, that guy's like 46 in the world. He has no chance of winning. Who cares? My point is like if you literally had a field where it was literally the number 1 player in the world all the way down to the number 100 player in the world, to me, that's a better field than one that has. And obviously, we can go around and talk about, well, realistically, only the top 20 people in the world have a chance to win, which I actually disagree with. But we can go that route. But my point is, like, we should set a precedent right now, not when the fields get better down the road, right? Because can we both agree that if they played a world championship right now where it was the top 1 to 100 right now, this year, that, yeah, it's not going to be that much different. But can we agree that 25, 30 years from now, the world championship where it's 1 to 100, that's going to look different than the other majors, simply based off of the qualification process. Like USDGC, what you were just talking about, you're going to have people that get hot at tournaments that are only 3 events, 3 days, 4 days, and they qualify in. And they're outside the top 100 in the world. But they just had a hot weekend and they're qualified. So now they are in that event taking a spot from someone that is maybe a top 100 player in the world. You see what my point is?
Yeah, I understand it. I agree. 25.
It's not that big of an issue.
I agree. 25 years from now, we'll probably be in a much more similar situation to golf, where, yeah, not everyone is not the best players in the world are at every event. There's people who are doing it on the European tour. There's people that are like, yeah, that'll get there. Right now, I'm saying I think the best 100 players in the world, we can go 90% of them. 90 of the top 100 players in the world, they're going to be at events, and the other 10, you might not notice, really. Like, you notice when Chris Dickerson's missing. You notice when Eagle's missing. But
the thing is, though, is like we're at a spot right now where like there might be players that aren't even touring yet. I just played with this girl the other day in Dallas that I'm like, dude, within a couple months, this girl could literally be a top 20 player in the world in FPL.
Yeah.
And she just started playing not that long ago. So like that, to me, like that's where it's like disc golf. I think it's easy to think short term of like, oh yes, the best players are playing right now, yada yada. But my point is like disc golf is so young. When more and more money gets involved and more people start looking into disc golf, I think it's going to change a lot of things.
Well, I agree. That's why
going back to the ending.
Mm-hmm.
The 7 rounds, I'm okay with that. I'm cool with that. But the problem that we have, if we are going to make World 7 rounds to make it different than the other majors, then we have to make the other majors different than an Elite Series event. And right now,
I think they are.
Majors are 4 rounds, and
right now they're different than an Elite Series event. The only one you
want them. So we don't care. We don't care if the best person wins those events, those majors.
No, they're hard.
Just
Majors,
the World Championship one.
Majors are harder to get in right now.
Wait, does Simon want USDGC to be 7 rounds?
No, he said right now USDGC is the biggest title in our sport, which is exactly what I said.
But he should want with his ideology on the fact of like he wants the best player to win.
No, Worlds. The best player needs to win Worlds, period.
You only want the best player to win Worlds. Every other tournament, every other major, it doesn't matter.
With how much the prestige is on Worlds, that needs to be a tournament that it's set up for the best player to have the best percentage chance at winning.
Okay, so USDGC, we don't care about a fluke and having
USDGC, there's not going to be a fluke. You have to qualify like crazy, and then that course is brutal. And whoever goes on that course, it might be like a fluky win, but you're never going to have a U.S. champion that you feel like didn't earn it.
Champions Cup, we don't care about someone.
Champions Cup, I mean, to qualify for Champions Cup is very tough. A lot of times, it's the bigger qualifiers are people who have won events the previous year.
I got in.
Was it a finish from Champions Cup? But you did. You had to qualify. You've had some great finishes. You had some great finishes.
I just signed up.
This year, this year there was no qualification. I'm talking next year. This year was the first year they didn't have previous qualifications. They're posting about it every tournament that finishes. The people who won the different tournaments around the world, that's why it's called the Champions Cup. They're getting in. Champions Cup's hard to win because it's hard to get in. The European Open right now, you might have an argument because it's basically just hard to get to.
As long as you guys are cool, that World Championship, the best player in the world should win that every single time. And at all the other majors, the best player shouldn't win that, then we're all on the same page.
I'm not answering.
I mean, that's what we're doing. 7 rounds, but all the other ones can still be 4 because we don't care about.
You want it? It's a percentage play, Brodie. You want Worlds to be more likely for the best player in the world to walk away. Because if James Conrad, Greg Barsby, and Dave Feldberg, any other world champion.
We should do 12 rounds.
Well, no, at some point it just gets
definitely.
At some point it gets too long. Like now we're going over multiple weeks. But like if you throw in any Eric McCabe, any world champion that someone might be able to call random, right? If they win their title over 6 or 7 rounds, you can't call that random.
That was a freaking shots fired at Eric McCabe.
No, I'm just saying I'm thinking through random names of not Ken Climo, not Paul McBeth, not Ricky Wysocki that have won Worlds.
By random names, you only came up with one person.
Oh, I'm trying to think of one-off champions. I said Feldberg, Greg Barsby.
Nate Doss won 3 times.
Nate Doss did. I was thinking Feldberg, Eric McCabe, Greg Barsby, Conrad. People who have won one, if they did that across a 7-round platform, and that's their world title, they earned it, period. They were the best player across 7 rounds. There's no other way.
You literally just said Greg Barsby earned it, and it was 4 rounds.
Well, he did. Well, he played the tournament. He played the tournament. I was in front of him. He can't do anything else.
I know.
You can't take it away.
But
from
then
him. You can't.
But you should.
You can't. How?
No, but I'm saying you should
go back and make him play 3 more rounds.
No. I'm just saying you should be like, if it was 7 rounds, he wouldn't win. Like you should say that.
I do think that. But I can't take that title from him.
I know, but you should just air quote it then or something. Because if you're still going to consider him
played
a world champion,
he played the tournament that's in front of him.
Why are we even going to 7 rounds?
That's the whole question. Is because some people won it on 7 rounds, some people won it on 4, some people won it on 5.
Who the heck is watching 7 days in a row of disc golf? First off,
why do you need to watch 7 days in a row?
That's my whole point.
The action happens in the weekend. Why do you need to watch 7 days?
All right.
You don't have to watch the entire thing. You need to decide a world champion. You think in 2015 I didn't watch the entire World Championship?
If I was the marketing person for the PDGA and I was trying to get money from sponsors and stuff, I would love to be like, hey, listen, we all know no one's gonna watch all 7 days. But pay us money.
Again, the PDGA, they don't even have a line item for majors as an income. Like that's not even on their radar. If we're trying to make money with majors, not even on their radar.
Don't even get me started with what I'm about to say.
I'm just saying, like, we got to put a bow on it. We got to put a bow on it. I think that the biggest thing is with the prestige that comes with the major, with a world title, it's got to be separate, and there's got to be something that separates it, or we need to get rid of worlds. Those are the two options.
I gotta look up one more thing.
Okay.
I just think
I'll let you give your closing argument.
I just think the things that you guys think are the things that need to separate it don't, in my opinion, don't make sense.
Okay. That's fine.
Because
we don't have to see eye to eye. That's the point of the show. And that's fine.
No, I'm with you on that. I think this might be a slight issue. Is the winner of Worlds? God, you ready for this one? Explain this one. Ready? The winner of Worlds made over $10,000 less than the winner of the Tour Championship.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a problem. There's a lot of problems surrounding Worlds.
Is that more of a problem than the rounds?
I mean, yeah, I think so. But I think that the rounds is
it
well, but you have to look at it. You have to look at it this way too, though.
Don't start saying that they're going to make so much more money outside.
I'm just saying. Just saying. You're trying to tell me James Conrad didn't make more money than Nathan Queen last year. Total, like, end of the year, bottom line. He got home. Of course he did.
I knew exactly where you were going.
That is because MVP, Innova, whoever has a world champion, they market the crap out of it like they should. Is it a problem that the PDGA, the biggest tournament of the year, doesn't have as big of a paycheck as a different tournament, the Tour Championship, that's not even a major, not even a sanctioned event? Yeah. And are there other issues with Worlds, with USWDGC, with any major right now? Pretty much, yeah, any major, I think, honestly, right now. Yeah, there are. USDGC, I think it's time to move it right now, because if we wait 20, 30 years, it's going to hurt a lot more to move from Winthrop then. I think there's problems with all of them.
To counter my own argument, though, Liv, right? They're giving like $4 million or something out to the winners, and no one cares. So to counter my own argument, money is not like we talked about this, where it's like you could, if you wanted to, you could attract a lot of the top players, obviously, to have an event and like say like we're just going to give out the most cash ever, and that would attract everyone. But that event would not be the most prestigious. You wouldn't be going down in history the same as a world champion and stuff. So yes, to counter my own argument, money is not something.
It is a problem. It is a problem.
It is a problem. It is a problem, but it is not the thing that's like, oh wow, if they were getting paid $50,000, and all of a sudden Worlds all of a sudden becomes.
And I do want to quickly state this because I think some people in the chat misunderstood what I was trying to say. Argument. I was naming one-time world champions, because I was saying we don't know, like every world champion won at a different thing. So like Feldberg did win over 9 rounds. I'm saying those one-time world champions won at whatever was in front of them. I'm pretty sure Eric McCabe won over 6+ rounds. But I'm saying like when that happens and Feldberg wins over 9 rounds, you can't argue anything about his world championship. When someone wins over 4 rounds, you can be like, well, okay. But like if it would have went to like Feldberg, you're never gonna be like, well, if it went to a 10th round, Feldberg would have lost. If it would have went to a 12th round, like you can play that game forever.
Can we do one more thing though on this? I got one more thing. What if another thing? Because again, we're just trying to come up with different ways of making Worlds different. What if one of the things that Worlds was it was like the only major, the only tournament that played on 2 courses? So you have courses and tournaments that are wooded. You have courses and tournaments that are open, but Worlds, they always have it at a venue that has an open course and a wooded course. So that way, every year, the best overall disc golfer wins. Do you like that idea, or do you not like that idea?
I mean, I like it because I do like the idea of Worlds especially if we go to a 7-round format, you got to use more than one course because that would just be brutal. And I do like the idea that Worlds challenges every aspect of a player's game. So you find a really open course and you find a really technical wooded course, because like that's the true best disc golfer, the player that can adjust to the wide open wind and the player that can adjust to the technical woods. I do think like I like the idea of events on tour being one course. But I do think there's other things that need to happen in order for that to make more sense, because there are some courses that I like the different pin locations or different tee locations or something to where like moving day actually is more scoreable, or like more stroke swings are going to happen and stuff like that. I think there are things like that need to be looked at beyond just like making that cut right now. In other words, disc golf's got a lot of other stuff to do before we get to that point. But I like the idea of Worlds always being challenge. It's a challenge of every aspect of a player's game. And it's not like, well, we're going to a wide open world, so we know Eagle's got an advantage, and then we're going to a really technical wooded course. We know whoever's got an advantage. I do like Worlds being, if Eagle wins Worlds, he won it with 2 rounds on like a golf course and 2 rounds on a technical wooded course. Like, what are you going to argue? You can't.
Do we do closing statements?
I feel like I've made mine 10 times.
Okay, closing statement. If you want to be considered the best in the world and the world champion, the worst thing you probably could do is say like, oh, I didn't have enough time. If I would have had a couple more rounds, I would have been world champion. There's 4 rounds. There's 4 rounds, and you are the best player in the world. Be the best player in the world in those 4 rounds.
I've never heard a pro who lost Worlds say, if I had 5, 6, or 7, because I don't think that's necessarily the argument. I think the argument is from a fan's perspective.
You've never heard an athlete say that?
I've heard athletes. I'm saying
I just ran out of holes.
Sure, like I've heard. I've heard it.
That's literally what I just said. That's a common
I'm
thing
saying
in golf all the time.
With Worlds, I haven't heard.
They say they ran out of holes.
I haven't heard a player who came in second at Worlds or something be like, well, okay, but like we all know what I was about to do in that 5th round though. Like if there was 7 rounds, we all know where that was going. I haven't heard that argument. I've only heard it from fans and other players who say it needs to change.
Have you heard it publicly? You're saying you haven't heard it publicly from people?
Publicly or privately. I just haven't heard it. I'm just saying from a fan's perspective.
Well, first off, who privately are you going to hear that from?
Well, if Paul was ever going to make that excuse during his last 10 years of coming in second, I would have heard it, because I've been at Worlds since 2015 till last year is the first one I missed. I definitely would have heard it if that was going to be said. But what I'm saying is, from a fan's perspective, and knowing how much prestige is on a world title, like knowing all of that, I want to feel at the end of it, I never want to walk away from that tournament going, dang, like that was kind of a fluke win. I never want that to ever be a question, because I know how much it means.
That's why I just don't get how is it a fluke win? 72 holes. How is that a fluke win?
They just can't.
72 holes.
It's just that it's the same as every other tournament. That's all it is. Like it's just the same as every other event they go to.
So golf is wrong. We need to.
Golf doesn't have a world championship. I'd be very interested to see if
they
golf.
Have majors though, Hunter.
They don't have a world championship, Brodie. You even said Worlds should be above it. You even said that. You are your own words. World should be above a major. Golf doesn't have that.
Correct.
I would be very interested if golf had that. What they would do.
The difference between it.
I would be very interested.
No, I said Worlds should be above a major in disc golf because you're calling it the World Championship. And a major should be above Elite Series events. Just like the PGA Tour, the European Tour, or I guess it's the I don't even know what it's called anymore. But like majors should be held above those, and they are in a different way than just making them play longer. That's my point. Is they have different ways of making them elevated higher than just playing more rounds. So my thing is, it has disc golf, which was birthed by golf. Have they figured out something that golf hasn't figured out yet? Are we doing something that golf should have been doing a long, long time ago, or should start doing?
The whole issue we backed ourselves into is we created a world championship. That's the issue.
Yeah, but the majors still need to, like, if you're trying to make okay, we're going in circles at this point.
Yeah, I'm just saying that's the issue. Disc golf did something that realistically shouldn't have happened. Created a world championship. Should have just been another major.
Can we agree though, moving forward, that whatever they decide to do, that they should like just stick with it for a while, like instead of like each year it's different?
No, we're at a point where like we need to start getting these traditions. We need to start getting these traditions locked in. Like that's why we're at a point in disc golf where like Winthrop, like USWDGC, I think in the next few years needs to move from Winthrop and like find their Augusta, find their home, right? Champions Cup, if this is their format, we stick with it. European Open, you know, they got their thing with the course and everything. I don't really think European Open needs to change too much if they want to figure out qualification and stuff, sure. European Open, stick with it. Worlds, we need to figure something out and stick with it. Because we're at a point right now where like 20 years of history from now till 2040 can easily erase the previous history. But as it builds, it's going to be very hard to erase that history.
Let me just counter argument Simon's point because he brought up darts, and I absolutely love darts. So we'll finish on this. He said in darts, every major you got to win 10 or 11 games to win a match. At the Worlds, you got to win 24. There's also a reason why the U.S. Open just changed how they do playoffs. The U.S. Open, the playoff format used to be show up the next day, play 18 holes. And we just saw that they changed that to that aggregated 4-hole match, right?
Okay.
Like, these are apples to oranges. 10 games in darts versus 24 games in darts. What is the time difference there? Are they showing up the next day? Like, are they only playing one game a day? Are they playing 5 games a day? Or are they just knocking out all the games back to back to back? Because I've watched darts. A game can be over. Like, when they're doing that 301 stuff, I'm pretty sure you could do that in 7 darts. Is that triple 20, 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 triple 19, double, something like that. You can win really, really quick in darts, right? I think that, to me, that's the big thing of like, if we were playing like set 2 rounds in a day or something like that, I could see maybe how you do it, but like, you're making an event that is currently 4 days that pros are going to come into 3 days in advance. So that's 7 days. Now you're making that event from a 7-day event for pros. You're making that event now 10 days. And for a spectator, you're making a 4-day event into a 7. Like, my point is, like, it extends 10 games in darts to 24 games in darts. I don't see how that changes. Like, you're still probably doing that whole event at once. Same thing in UFC, right? 5-minute rounds, 3 rounds, 15 minutes, 5-minute rounds, 5 minutes, 25 minutes. Like, you're still doing it all in one day. If I'm the Disc Golf Pro Tour, or if I'm the PDGA even, and now you're telling me like I have to do stuff for an additional 3 more days, I feel like that's a tall ask to do. That's my point. I'll finish on that. Is like, imagine the Battle for Bedford when you were running that. If you now were like, that's a 7-day tournament. How much more work that would be? That would be more work, right? It's not just like, oh, I already have everything already figured out. We just add a couple days. Doesn't that increase the workload for you? Crazy to try to do an extra, right? Or no? Am I wrong with that? I've never teed a tournament, so I don't know.
Once the tournament starts going, there's not a ton. Like, most of the work is prelim work, and it wouldn't increase too much.
So it would just be a cost-based thing of renting stuff out.
It's just you'd have you'd have the 3 extra days of actually being there, but the difficulty of running the tournament wouldn't go up.
Finding spotters, and
that might be more difficult.
The middle of the week, not on a weekend.
I mean, you're already having to do that Thursday, Friday. On USWDGC, you're having to do that Wednesday. At majors, it's not.
It's tough.
At a B tier, it's tough.
Oh, B tier for sure.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up. Let us know. We're going to put a poll on Twitter.
$20. I'm down to do $20 every tournament to like go into like a volunteer fund for like spectators to come, or not spectators, but for like spotter volunteers to come out during practice rounds. I don't know if any other pros listening or any other people think that's a good idea. But I would love that to like, if we could be like, oh, these 3 holes, really hard to find disc. You like put a fund in and like they just take money from the fund. I'll do that.
Sounds like a good idea. All right, that wraps it up. Hopefully you enjoyed this debate night. Actual debate this time, but I'm gonna say one thing. I'm gonna wrap it up here. This is the only title I actually care about. The Disc Golf Creators Cup, and hopefully it comes home with me.
I'm not in this competition,
You're
right?
not. You're the host. You're the host.
What? Break down the competition. Is it 7 rounds? Let's hear the format.
No, so we've got first day, just straight up singles. Every channel is going to be playing. Every person in every channel plays. Best score from that channel counts. Get you points. Then, afternoon of that day, we go to the field events. We're going to have a distance competition, an accuracy competition, and a putting competition. When you nominate one player from your channel to do each of those events, wins get you points. And then those points qualify you and seed you to enter the Final Four match play bracket that happens on Sunday. 2 9-hole matches, seed 1 versus 4, seed 2 versus 3, and then the final 9 is the 2 winners of that, and the winner takes home the Disc Golf Creators Cup championship trophy for the year.
Are you and Trevor doing everything, or is Silas and Connor balancing
So
for some of these field events?
we're having Silas is going to be playing singles, and Connor is going to be doing the field events. So, and then Trevor and I have a pact that whoever scores the best, if we make the finals, we do have to qualify for the finals. If we make the finals, whoever, even if it's Silas, scores the best in singles is representing us as a match play. So we don't have that argument.
Nice.
So
okay. I love it.
We've strategically done this. Simon, why weren't you invited? Because you would have dominated us, and it's also next week, and we assumed everyone was in Europe. But also because you would have crushed our souls. We did non-touring pros.
Content.
We did
It's
non-touring
content
pros.
creators.
We did non-touring pros to keep it competitive, and Brodie's there as the host to roast us all. But you know, we hope this event grows and gets bigger and bigger, and you know, maybe we can do like different divisions. Go like TikTok versus YouTube versus Instagram.
Oh my gosh. Boxing.
Crazy things could happen.
My flight's at 2:46 on Sunday, so we should be.
Oh well, yeah, we'll definitely be done. The round's at 8:30 Sunday morning.
Gosh, I'm excited for that. That's gonna be awesome. Oh, also, it will be a dark horse grand opening at Charleston. There will be something dark horse related there for the people that show up. So if you're in the area, you might want to make your way over to Charleston for the opening. Should be solid.
Yeah, very, very excited for that. And we got a great lineup of channels that are going to be there. You can check it out on our Instagram. We posted all of them, and the 2 that got added that weren't on that list were Danny Lindahl from Dynamic Discs and Apollo Disc Golf. They've both been added in addition to Molt, Miss Frisbee's Overthrow, Swanky, Robbie C., lots of people. So you're not going to miss out on it.
Yeah.
That content's going to be coming out. Super excited.
Wait, is Iceberg?
Iceberg's not. We do have a battle against Iceberg that we did at WR Jackson, of all places, and he gave me a sick rock.
Okay.
But yeah, it's that
battle.
battle.
I was going to say, UV Iceberg is like as big as like UV
that went
Katrina.
Down. That went down.
UV, I'm trying to see, UV Ricky.
Trevor and
UV. I mean, you have
everyone I pissed off.
Yeah, you have a lot of enemies.
The Trevor and I versus Iceberg and a guy from a collegiate disc golf player. We played WR Jackson in a Bogey Bro battle. That'll be coming out in July. So we've already filmed it. It already went down. I'm not going to spoil anything, but it's going to be worth your while. We'll put it that way. It was a great battle. It was a great battle from both teams. So very excited for that to come out. Lots of content coming out in July. You're not going to miss it. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll talk to you next week.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.